been a while since I've seen that
It's
movie.
a great movie. I love that movie.
Been a long time since I left you.
It's been a while.
Don't
Think
be
it's gonna
step
be a long, long time.
Welcome to Two Covers Bad Singing,
two. Oh my goodness.
the
It's not even-
podcast that you hate.
Yes.
All
It's
right.
not even covers. If we're that bad at singing it, you can't recognize the song.
Wait, are we balanced?
We're good.
So we don't have to
Oh.
pay royalties then, right?
Yes.
That's
So
our hope.
this
That's
is
the whole
that was a good business move then, I think.
As a bird lawyer,
You're
All right, this
Proficient
isn't
in
a,
bird law?
An
yes.
ornithologist.
this isn't a cold opening. This is a tribute to the greatest cold opening ever. How did I flub a 2-line reference?
You
I don't know.
lose.
You know what?
You lose.
Good day, sir.
Jack Black, why don't you come on and do it right? I don't know, right? He listens.
Sure.
Probably.
Okay, well,
just like
welcome
Elon
to-
Musk.
yeah, I forgot. I forgot Elon's a big
They
fan.
listen together over wine and cheese.
All right, welcome to this week's iteration of Two Guns, No Ammo. I'm Billy Two Guns. We're No Ammo. Let's get started. Yesterday, I played my first rugby game of the season, and my legs hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Chris, and I started playing State of Decay for the first time.
Great game. Love it. Good choice.
I'm Genevieve, and I started playing Unravel.
I'm Frank. I have now been told on Xbox Live by 5 different people that I have a voice that makes it sound like I'm on radio.
Oh,
I tell
boy.
them that I'm on a podcast and they don't listen.
I'm Jake, and Frank, you have a face for radio.
Oh.
I do. One of my
Nice.
goals, I would like to say, is to be like a host on either financial TV or radio and just spout bullshit all day long.
Like that guy
Nerd.
that like screams
Mad
and tells
Money.
you what. Yeah, the Mad Money guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jim Cramer is a lot more calm than he used to be, and he is also extremely intelligent, and I like listening to him. I wouldn't follow what he does, just because that's not how I do things, but he definitely provides good commentary.
Well, we see now in 10 years when the podcast falls apart because Frank leaves us because he's the only one who gets an offer for a real job. We'll know why. Let's know where it all started. Frank, nope, you're not Frank. You're Chris. Chris,
Yeah, what's up?
why don't you start telling us about your experience with State of Decay?
It's fun. It's kind of hard too. There's a lot to keep track of.
Can you give us a brief summary again for those who didn't listen to the past episodes? What is State of Decay about?
It's a zombie survival game. So far, I'm still up in the mountains, like the campsite. Like you find the infection up there, and you have to survive it.
So there are Zambos running around,
Yeah.
limited resources, right? There's some
Yes.
sort of like base system. You have like a base of operations, right? And you
Yeah,
clear
like you have a
areas of
base
zombies?
and like you have like other like dwellers with you that can like help you with your tasks and stuff, and you have to like keep track of them, keep them happy, alive, fed.
do you get the dwellers from finding them, or are they already there?
There's some that are already there, but then like as you like go along, like you'll find like other like mini settlements where they're like running out of supply chain. You're like, hey, come join us and we'll pool our resources. And
Do they ever betray you or anything like that?
I haven't experienced it yet. If they do,
They can leave. And
Oh.
there's in the storyline, there's supposedly times where they could betray you.
Mm.
It's a very, very dynamic like system that they have in place with, I think, the storyline, depending on like who's alive and whatnot. I mean, it's almost been a year since I've played it at this point. I still have it on my Xbox though, so I can play it whenever I want.
yeah, and like if like your character dies, like they die.
Yeah.
And like
Oh.
you have to like keep people stocked in your dwelling so like you have another character to play because they don't come back. And then like you have to like go and like get like if they had a pack on, like you have to go and retrieve their stuff for like because it's like supplies are so limited, you have to go get it.
Wow.
Yeah, and then like they're gone now. So yeah, no, yeah, the story could go pretty much in any direction depending on who's still alive and who's not.
It's
So
a great concept.
okay, so shit. What are the enemy zombies like? Are they fast moving? Are they really sensitive?
They'll
to
run
sound?
at you. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if you're like searching through like a locker or something, you can make noise and it's a slow process too, and you can speed it up, but that'll make more noise to attract them. You have to be mindful when you're driving of how loud the car is that you have, because like I was driving like a regular, it was like a Volkswagen style car. It was like pretty quiet, and then like I found a sports car that's fast as hell, but it's loud. And on the map, you can see like how much noise you're making.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
So like if a zombie's in like that area, they'll hear you and they'll start following you.
So when you're searching for different resources, is there any sort of crafting system? Like, do you build better?
I just
weapon?
built like the work area, but I haven't like utilized it yet. That's pretty much where I'm at.
It's more of a building than a crafting system, right?
Okay.
So it's just basically like you select what type of part of your base you want to build and improve. And if like you can like if you have the materials for it, it'll take like you just select that and it'll build it up, and it takes like a certain amount of time or a certain number of days or something like that. And then you have it, and you can like each base. There's a couple of different bases on the map for the game because it's like an open world, right? And there's like I think 3 different bases that you can occupy, right? And each one has a different size.
Is that the only reason you would change bases? Is like to get it bigger?
Well, yes. If you do like so, they have a couple of different game modes. One is the story mode, where like you're out camping, you come back, and Zambambarino is all over the place. There's another one where it just like drops you in the middle of the map somewhere randomly, and you have to just like start surviving. Like there's no story; it's just like play the game, open world, sandbox, no story, get at it. So in the story mode, you like there's a story where you progress through all 3, and it opens up different parts of the map. Like the way a game normally would as you progress. But in the open world system, you just get dropped, and you can kind of pick one and just go play.
Is there a win state?
In the story mode, you like finish.
Oh, okay.
But like in the open world, no, it's just like survive as long as you can.
Finish meaning like
Meaning like it's like
You get
the
to an end
of,
point in the story.
Yeah,
where
it's,
like
it's like
things
the end of the
resolve.
movie, The Mist. You kill your whole family, and then
and then
you're saved, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Spoilers.
and then the army shows up.
Yeah. Okay, so do resources regenerate? Like if you clear out a house and you clear it of all resources, do they ever regenerate in that building again, or do you have to venture farther and farther away?
No, they regenerate after a
Okay.
time. It's kind of random. At least I remember for sure in the story mode that was the way it was. That like after a few days, like I would get like a mission or whatever to go collect. So like I'd look on the map really, and it'd be like you need to gather construction supplies so you can build a new part of your base.
Mhm.
And like after a couple of days, like I would notice I went to the same building.
So do you have to like feed yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, like you have to like you have to find like medicines. Like there's like you can get like Vicodin and like like you find like all those types of medicines and stuff.
For pills,
Yeah,
aka like meth,
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
amphetamines.
And it's important.
And then like you eat snacks and stuff like that to like regain like stamina boosts, and like you drink coffee to regain your stamina and stuff like that. Which is important because like I found so far like one of the most like difficult parts of it is like regulating my stamina. Because even like basic attacks, you're using stamina.
So stamina regeneration in different games like Dark Souls, it depletes quickly in attacks, but it replenishes within like 4 seconds.
This one's I feel like it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
So then like you have to like eat a snack and then it'll like shoot you back up again.
Because I know in Skyrim there are tons of stamina boosters, which I have never used one of. Right? So it's slow enough that you actually have to do it? Only in combat, or does your stamina stay
It's
depleted
tough to
outside?
do it in combat. It's actually kind of inconvenient in combat because like it takes time too.
Okay.
It's not like an instant thing. Like they'll animate you eating it real quick.
Oh.
Yeah, like and like reloading your firearms is really really slow too. Like it's very realistic in that sense that like most games it's like super quick and like you're already reloaded, but no, this is like it's going to take its time while zombies are running the fuck at you.
Can you set the difficulty, or is it just one?
I think it's just the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just straight up.
I actually really appreciate that. Thought.
I did
I like super like that. It's so great.
Wow. I like that.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's the best. It's really the best.
Because then I
Very
feel like
The best.
if I
the
beat the
best.
game, I beat the game. You know what I mean? I didn't beat it on normal, and then there's a hard mode. Okay, so how is it that you end up dead? Like, what about this game is the part where you go, oh, fuck, and then you get killed?
Fighting zombies is hard in that game.
It's hard.
Yeah, like you basically have like 3 attacks, really, if that. Like you swing, like if you have a melee weapon, which is what you have to use most because ammo is very scarce for guns.
Very scarce.
And it's also a lot less loud. And there are like roaming. I mean, they're not huge hordes. Like one of the things that I used to do, it says you're not supposed to make it easier, but like I'll go out and like if I know that like let's say there's a building on this one street and there's like 2 hordes of zombies roaming the like parallel or like perpendicular like close streets, I'll just take a car and I'll go mow down the hordes.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun parts of the
Yeah.
game. Is just mowing down these fucking zombies.
Does
It's
it damage
so
your car,
fun.
though?
A little bit,
yeah.
Okay.
And like your cars do take damage. Like they'll like start to smoke and
you have
like
to
they'll
find-
blow up and
Do
shit.
you have to like look for gas for them or fuel?
Yes, and then you have to, and then like they have like just like random cars like scattered all over the place, and like you do have to like manage your fuel and shit too.
But like when they say like zombie hordes, it's like maybe 15 or 20 at the most. Like probably 12 to
Yeah.
15 is about what a horde is. But like,
If you're
it's
alone,
rough.
it
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can like you can say like when you go out for like supply raids, you can like pick what people you want to do it. Right. And you can actually send like the computer out to go do them too. So you could have like, let's say like 12 people, you keep 6 back at your base and then you have 3 teams of 2 to go out and do 3 different supply runs. Or maybe you might want to like clear out, like there's a building with like, they call them like nests or something like that. Like, where there's like they have like the special zombies similar to Left 4 Dead that like are screechers, I think they call them, and other ones that are like bloaters that like blow up and whatnot. And like they'll be like, okay, like potential missions to increase like safety or happiness or something like that. Like,
Wait, what were the special zombies?
like one's like a screecher that like can stun you because it can screech really loud and like attract other zombies, I think. And then the other one's like a bloater, I think they call it.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't remember what they do other than they take more hits to kill.
So those buildings
And
are
they
full-
tackle you and like they shoot like acid on you or
Yeah.
something.
So those buildings are full of Mag's girlfriends. Oh, I'll be here till later today. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You're welcome, world,
Anyway,
for that awesome joke that is not accurate.
the hordes are
You know, it was all worth it for your exhaustion there, Chris.
that's how I feel when I get you.
Which you must be satisfied perpetually.
Yeah, I am. But yeah, the hordes are a lot of fun to take out with a car because they're pretty tightly packed, so you can just like run right through them and get like 8 in one swoop.
And they like it's like and like just blow up and blood is getting all splattered everywhere. It's fucking great.
Nice.
We might need to clip that for a soundbite.
That was
Mark
pretty
that
great.
one, Jake.
The pending TGNA remix.
Who are we gonna cross it with?
I don't know.
We'll figure something out.
got it.
We all make
Thomas the
stupid
Tank
noises.
Engine.
We could remember that one clip that we have noises.
All the
Noises. We
noises.
could have a noises too.
Yeah.
Please no.
Anyway.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Wait, Frank.
Great mechanics.
Weren't you gonna get the second iteration of that game?
Great segue. State of Decay 2 comes out on May 22nd. They just released the release date like last week, like in this past week since our last podcast.
Ooh, okay.
May, because I think I looked this up last week to see when they were coming out, and there was no official release date yet. Within the past week, May 22nd is what they're coming out with. $30.
Oh,
Nah.
No microtransactions.
What?
Still my heart.
Yeah, my penis can only get so erect.
$50 for the Ultimate Edition that includes all the DLC and the first game.
Whoa.
What?
Why not just get that? Wow.
Oh no!
Wait, you mean
Oh,
they're
no.
doing it right?
Yes.
Very cool.
Their
Very
statement
Wow.
included something along the lines of them saying, like, we want to foster a long-term relationship with the State of Decay community to put out
Aw.
content.
Wow.
That's so sweet.
Aw.
This pleases me.
Yeah. So it's going to be published by Microsoft. It's an Xbox exclusive. But I also think, well, I think
course.
you'll be able to get it on PC as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Microsoft, maybe.
because you can cross-play.
Yeah. You know, Microsoft actually has another pretty cool game coming out. It's like Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, I saw that.
I can tell you much more than it looks like a pretty cool pirate game.
That's what it sounds like.
But I haven't bought anything through the Xbox Windows store as far as games are concerned. But State of Decay might have to change that. All right, so Chris, what has been your favorite experience trying this game? Favorite part of the game?
Definitely the running over of the zombies in a. Oh yeah,
What's the most frustrating part?
surviving.
Oh, so the gameplay.
The whole game.
It's hard.
Mhm.
It's definitely tough. You have to be mindful of everything you do.
I'm curious. Is the base fortification? Is it similar to Fallout? How Fallout does it? Like no matter what you do, there's always a colony in trouble or whatever.
No, I mean, there's always, in one sense, yes, because there's always stuff like you use food. So eventually, no matter how much you have, you're going to run out of food. Same thing with medicine. You're fighting zombies all the time. Someone's going to get hurt. You're going to use medicine, and you're going to need more. So there's always going to be something to do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
there's always like supply runs and and like there's I've seen a recurring like find the survivors missions that just like side ops that just pop up from time to time.
Oh no way.
I was gonna ask, so like you can go save
Yeah.
a group of people and bring them back to your base.
Yeah.
But now, just to kind of compare it to Fallout again, is there any kind of like replenishing food source? Like, do you start cropping or anything?
No, not in State of
okay.
Decay 1. Though, I do believe I saw in the preview at E3 last year that there is a farming aspect in State of Decay 2.
Okay.
Also, game will be available on Xbox Game Pass for those people that have the Game Pass.
Ooh, that's what I have. Nice.
Yeah, so you won't have to pay anything for it.
Sweet.
I'll tell you this much. I really like the idea of being able to build a base, even in like an apocalyptic game, where it eventually becomes so strong that I don't really have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Like if I build it to a point where it's more secure, but it's always at a threat of breaking, I'm not a big fan of that. But I like this farming aspect sounds really appealing to me.
Yeah, I mean, so they actually, and so in State of Decay 1, right, it's single player only, right? It's you play and whatnot. State of Decay 2 is going to have co-op, so that'll be awesome.
Wow.
I don't know if it'll have local co-op or if it'll be, Xbox Live / whatever they call it on PC co-op. But that looks like a lot of fun, and I think like the whole. Don't forget, like the original State of Decay, like it was basically a indie game. It wasn't basically. It was an indie game with a very small budget and a not like a lot of development resources. So it's like when it first came out, I think it was $20, and it gave you a solid 25 to 30 hours of gameplay. The DLC you tack on another 20 probably. And I think it's like you're looking pretty good for 20 or I think I spent 30 on the whole thing with all the DLC included. And yeah, I probably got about 50 hours of gameplay out of it.
That matches the rule.
Yep.
Solid.
State of Decay 2 is basically, it's not a AAA title because they're not a AAA studio, but it is a full-fledged game with a full development team and a lot of funding. I mean, it's being published by Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's a full game. I expect people who like this type of game are going to be able to get 200 or 300 hours of content out of it.
Holy shit.
Because it's much more open world. Like the thing when you release an open world is you need to have a lot of expandable features, right? Where you can, it's kind of like what Jake said, give me the tools and I'll figure out what to do with them. I think you said that last week when we were talking about something, Jake.
Devil May Cry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you give me a fun set of tools, I will build something fun.
I feel like
for
that's
myself.
every quality game ever made.
Exactly. And State of Decay had a few really fun tools to build with, but because it was limited in scope, it didn't have that many. Like I thought the base building aspect was a lot of fun. Go out, gather supplies, fight Zambos, all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. It's just you couldn't do too much with it. It was basically like the same 3 or 4 things over and over and over again. You kind of get tired after it after about 30 or 40 hours. Add on a little bit more for the DLC.
Okay.
Because the map's kind of small, right? There's only a few different types of things that you can build. There's like 6 different areas of your base that you can build. And the combat kind of gets old after a while because, like I said, you're mostly using a melee weapon. Your melee weapons break, so you got to constantly go out and find new weapons. and you get tired very quickly. You can. Oh, the one thing actually I should say that it introduced that I really liked was characters have different strengths depending on what their pre-apocalypse, profession, job interests were, and like finding the right like it was like to maximize your base and your survivability, like having the right combination of people was important, right? So somebody might be really good with guns naturally because they were in the military. Someone else might be like, maybe they were like a therapist or, something that involved them having like really good interpersonal skills. So they were really good at conflict resolution and keeping morale up and keeping people from fighting each other.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Somebody might be like prone to depression and really easy to get their morale down because everybody has like a morale meter. And if their morale meter is really low, they're going to be like less effective.
Then go shoot him in the back, right?
Yeah.
Then you take over the character and they accidentally get eaten by a
you-
Zambo because they forgot to swing their crowbar.
Yeah, no, it's a mercy.
Yeah.
It's
a mercy,
Grenade.
really.
So you have
Yeah.
grenade.
Really.
But
Yeah.
that's
There
really
are grenades.
noisy though, so I don't know if
So
that
the real mercy in the zombie apocalypse is
just blow everyone up.
to get eaten by a zombie, right?
That's the mercy?
That's the
That's
mercy,
the mercy.
really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, I don't know, because then there's Zambo, right?
You don't have to run from the zombies anymore. I don't see what your problem is.
You
here.
run with the zombies now.
You got a
You're
crew.
free.
Runs with Zambos.
Squad goals.
Yeah. No, the fighting is like, I don't think I can stress this enough, kind of annoying in the first game because all you're doing is swinging, and then it normally takes like 3 to 4 hits to knock a zombie down, and then you have to stomp their face in to actually kill the zombie.
You know,
Sounds very satisfying though.
It is the first couple of times you do it, but it gets super repetitive.
yeah.
And I mean, it's just like it's really annoying because you can swing your weapon like maybe 5 or 6 times, and so if it takes you 3 to kill one zombie, if you're fighting 3 zombies at once, you're probably boned unless you have a gun.
You know,
And the gun it has to be a headshot to kill him.
really.
they-
It's
Like-
it's tough.
Are they sprinting zombies?
Some of them.
Some,
Or-
yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like fast power walking.
Yeah, I hope that they improve the combat a little bit. I know that's not like the point, right? The point is not the combat, but like I just hope they find a way to make it a little bit more I don't even want to say accessible or easier or realistic, a little bit more interactive rather than just like swing your weapon a few times and then run until your stamina meter is back up, or you have enough distance to take a coffee or an energy drink or trucker pills and then start swinging again.
Oh my goodness. That just sounds like I can see the shot in my mind of someone like chugging down coffee and then like throwing on the ground and be like, let's do this, and like start swinging.
Maybe they were taking their direction from the game with the greatest stomping and ostensibly Zambo stomping. They're not zombies, but Dead Space. Okay.
You stomping that?
You do a lot of stomping. in
Fuck
that.
yeah. And when you stomp, like, they added, like, they turned the bass up when you, so you're, long story short, you're a space miner in, like, a derelict ship overrun by these horrible alien monster Zambambarinos that are, like, they look like something out of Silent Hill. They're horrible looking. And then, like, you can shoot their legs out and they fall down and you run over and you stomp on them with, like, your super space boots. But it's like, boom. Really, the whole ship shakes every time you stomp, and it goes, and their brains explode everywhere. And they make it super essential that you stomp on these monsters because, 1, it makes sure they're dead. Sometimes they get back up. And 2, that's how you release, like, the lootables, like your health and stuff. So
get
you just
stomping
stomp
bonus.
it, and every time you do it, it feels amazing. So maybe they're like, hey,
Sounds like the sound department wanted to show off.
why not? I
Yeah.
love great sounds in video games.
Great sound
Yeah.
is necessary. I give you Doom.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
2016, we ranted and raved about it, but turn on that game again and just, I mean, the music's awesome. Turn off the music and play for a while.
Yeah, I've
and just
recently,
appreciate how great that game
I've
sounds.
literally never thought of doing that.
yeah,
Oh,
I've
it's
recently
incredible.
started doing that. I actually really like that a lot.
I do.
Like
I mean,
shutting all the music off. It's surreal.
I mean, I always play with the game's music, especially if it's good, as it is in Doom and many others. But, you know, eventually I'm like, I've heard this before. I want to listen to something else, and I'll just change it up. But, you know, keep the sound effects on. And that, I mean, I do it with Fallout all the time, Devil May Cry all the time. It's very rewarding.
And then you put on Thomas the Tank Engine.
You put on mashups of Thomas the Tank Engine with Biggie Smalls, and you crush heads.
So
Perfect.
That actually, it's a neat little segue into a text that the group received from Jake last night. You sent us an album and you said, listen to this and play Skyrim at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that album was and why you like it so much?
Sure. So I stumbled upon, I was just listening to my usual like metal and whatnot on YouTube, and had the autoplay going for a while, and this song Tyr, Tyr, comes on by this band Wardruna, Wardruna, and it plays for like the first couple minutes, and it opens with like a goat horn or something, and I was like, what?
A little different.
What is this? It sounds really good. And it just goes on. There's like these war drums and there's, you know, choirs and whatnot. And it's this fucking band out of Norway that is citing Norwegian like pagan folklore and mysticism and using period accurate instruments, as well as literally banging on rocks and trees and shit. And just making this awesome, like, every single tune takes you back to prehistoric Viking days. Just like, time to go raid the British Isles and burn their huts and rape their women.
Really gets you in the mood.
It's just...
the old days when everything was calmer and safer.
And
Yes.
simple.
And you can ride a velociraptor.
Wait, what?
Yes, Kent Hovind, you could ride a velociraptor. No, but seriously, check out Wardruna. They have 3 albums out, and it's just the most atmospheric, just driving pre-medieval, like just war music. It sounds incredible.
It's dope.
It's
So
excellent.
what
It's
about
super
it?
hype.
What about it do you like so much? Is it simply the feeling that it gives you, or is there something that tickles your musical knowledge bone?
All of the above. I mean, I don't know much about Norway at all, much less their folklore. And the frontman of the band on their Wardruna's website, he like writes books about it, and you can buy like all kinds of different shit aside from just the music. So I might actually do some of that, but musically speaking, I don't know. It is so successful, like I said, in taking you back to that time period, knowing nothing else about it. It's theatrical. It's, as far as I can tell, very period accurate. The production value is through the roof. It all sounds really, really fucking good.
You were telling me that he uses some period instruments sometimes?
Yeah.
Like rocks?
Well, rocks were not
trees.
instruments as such, but are being used that way. But I mean, see, I don't know enough about it to start listing off all the different instruments.
Okay.
But there's like a mouth harp in some of it. There's it's all in like in the Norwegian language, possibly even the older versions of it. I'm not sure on that either.
You could probably guess a caribou stomach, and that'd probably be right?
Did they have caribou in Scandinavia?
I don't think that's what that is.
Whatever they got out, they have to have caribou.
Just lots of drums. I think I was reading on the website they have like deer, like old deer hide headed drums. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or like it's just actual like deer skin. It's not something synthetic or nothing. The singing is throaty and tribal, and not necessarily in tune, but to its benefit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it sounds like they're preparing to go to war. It doesn't sound like a professional choir.
Mm-hmm.
It's not supposed to.
Real.
Yeah. It sounds very authentic. And it's produced so well. And, you know, listen to 3 hours of it, probably 5 hours of it straight last night. Each album's roughly an hour long. And, of course, I had to listen to this one 8 times. I don't know. And nothing at all to do with games other than it's a great compliment to all of your medieval fantasy game time.
I'll tell you what, probably about a year ago, I really discovered the merit of listening to full albums all the way through.
It's life-changing.
And I remember when it became more commonplace to just put songs, for musicians to actually make songs available on the internet, especially through YouTube. And people were lamenting two things that I recall. One, that you weren't going to get the art. Like, there was something about having the art on, well, a CD when I grew up, in the little book with the lyrics and shit. And two, that you were going to listen to single songs that not in a way that's part of the bigger picture of the album. And I said, well, that's bananas. Wow. I went back and I listened to the Rumors album by Fleetwood Mac. And that, from tip to toe, is a stellar album. It has, I mean, I think there's 14 songs on it. 12 of them are big hits. And I get so much more out of listening to it as a full album than I do listening to each individual song, because of the way the whole thing flows and works together. And are there different songs on this album, or is it like one big experience?
They're very much distinct songs. I think it's 10 of them. On the longer side, I think there's like a short one that's like just shy of 3 minutes, but most of them are 5 and up. Track 2 is 10 minutes. Has like they recorded some animal, I don't know what, snarling like it was about to pounce and eat something, like straight up. No, it is distinct songs, and if you like the style, the album in particular, the most recent one from 2016 is called Ragnarok, of course. I have been I've been doing the full album listening thing for some time now, so that was my first approach. Was as soon as I happened to hear the first song on the record, and immediately started from track 2 when I put up the full album stream. Each song is definitely unique. The style overlaps, but the musical ideas, the lyrics, insofar as you can understand them, because we don't speak the language, the instrumentation, it does vary quite well and satisfyingly. But there's lots of great albums like that. Since we're going down this road, Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder, perfect album. And the most uplifting one I think I've ever heard, when you listen to it all the way through. Meshuggah, The Violent Sleep of Reason, I think is a perfect album, their most recent one. What else? I think a lot of Mastodon records, there's Crack the Sky in particular by Mastodon. Great to run straight through. The last tune, called The Last Baron, is a masterpiece. Between Them Buried in Me. I'm a big metalhead, if you can't tell. I think I've made that clear more than once. But there's tons of records that lend itself to that, and it's something not enough people do, I think.
This one's a little shout out for my dad, because he knows that I like the band Children of Bodom. But as part of one of his master trolls, I imagine, he always goes, I'm like, oh, I was listening to the song. He's like, what were you listening to? Children of Nodon? Like, he always messes up Bodom in some way that's close enough that I know he probably knows it, but I can't be sure. Children of Bodom released an album last year, and like, they were, for the listening audience, they were the band that brought me into metal. They were basically the bridge between like classic and modern rock into straight up melodic death metal. I like to lovingly call them like techno metal, because their guitar sounds like as opposed
more
to
sound bites.
It's kind of like Between the Buried and Me.
Yeah,
Between the Buried and Me is a very different animal.
Okay, I've never heard Children of Bodom.
But, well, I mean, the instruments, the behavior of the band is different.
But Bodom is, as far as I'm aware, I didn't listen to them too much, don't have anywhere near the kind of progressive bent.
Not even close.
No, that's not their thing.
No.
BT Bam, by contrast, is a progressive metal band on the nose. And yeah, they'll have lots of like really technical sweeps and shit. I'm pretty sure they just lock themselves in a basement preparing to record each album and just memorize the whole thing start to finish and record it in one shot. As far as I can tell, I can't imagine another way to do what they do. They're insane. But Colors, Alaska, The Great Misdirect. You pick a BT Bam album, it lends itself to listening all the way through.
Yeah.
Porcupine Tree, same thing.
Pink Floyd. The thing with Bodom is when it first came out. Well, I went and saw them in concert a couple of times, and Alexi Laiho is from somewhere over there, some cold place over there, and he certainly speaks English pretty well, but when he's up on stage, you can't understand any of it except the swear words. So it's like, fuck, oh, you fucking shit. And then you hear, are you ready to rock? And we're like, well, it's a metal concert, but sure. Just fucking go. And then he starts his song. Well, the rumor is back in the day, on their first albums, they didn't have any official lyrics. He would just go up, make them up, swear a couple of times, and then those were the lyrics of the song.
Oh my God.
But now they have official ones. But they just released an album in 2017, and I put it on, and I'm used to, like, they definitely have a certain style. And I was like, I think I know what this album's going to be. I did not. It rocked my fucking socks off. And like, Alexi's known to have a little bit of an ego, because even though his like rhythm guitarist is apparently better than him, you always hear Alexi playing. He's a lead singer. So I didn't really see the band as able to grow. I figured they were going to settle into their pocket and just be comfortable. I was wrong because it rocks, and they've started to become more like some of the other bands that I followed since I was younger, who are certainly growing. Trivium has certainly grown as a band, right? Lamb of God, holy shit, their new stuff is insane. And what I mean is their composition has become more complex, more mature, by my assertion, although I'm no sort of musician. But they maintain that rockin' style that I've always liked, which I think when we had a conversation off air about Linkin Park, they sort of didn't grow in certain ways.
I can't safely say that, but nothing I heard from them after Meteora impressed me.
So anyway, Children of Bodom's got a wicked new album out, except for the bonus tracks. The bonus tracks are kind of awful, but you still get like 12 really, really solid ones. So I recommend that if you're into metal at all, or if you're attempting to bridge the gap from modern rock to full-on metal. They're a nice in-between, because it's still sort of rocking, but it gets you used to metal vocals. But you can sort of understand it. An album that I think, to boot, excellent, fucking Linkin Park Hybrid Theory.
I maintain
Agreed.
it's yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
I think it's really only just over a half an hour long. I don't think it's even 40 minutes long.
I think it's like
Probably 38.
It's like 38 to 42 in that range. Not long. I mean, it was what 2001 that came out.
Somewhere 2001, I would say.
It was like the end of rap rock, which was a bit of an embarrassment from the 90s. But you know what? It was by far, I think, the best one.
Yeah, I when I was a kid, I used to have this CD player radio alarm clock, like a lot of people have. It was blue with gray speakers or whatever, and I would fucking rock out to Linkin Park on that thing. I felt so cool rocking out in my room. And then through the years, I like lost it or threw it out or something. Well, my dad had years later the same exact model, and I took it.
Yoink.
Yeah. And just this year, I was working down in my basement in my house. What is it, like 10 years after I listened to that album, 12 years after I listened to that first album, actually right after what's-his-name killed himself.
Chester.
I put on Meteora and bumped it on my old CD player. It was fucking cool.
Takes you back.
Yeah, it really
it's
does.
real. It's real, like on the nose, angsty, I hate my life kind of shit. Right. Definitely, subject matter wise, is more for the angsty teenager. But so what? I was that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for music that's like that, it has, I mean, every song on Hybrid Theory is catchy as fuck and like interestingly put together. Like the structure of the songs are pretty straightforward, nothing groundbreaking really. But the choices in harmony and the timbres of their voices, the contrast when Chester's singing or screaming and when it's Mike Shinoda, right, who's rapping, just like a great contrast without like being too much of one. They like really mesh well. No, I love that record. I'll always love that record. And Meteora I think was almost as good. Almost.
It definitely had it grew in its feel a little bit and matured a little bit. I don't want to sleep on their middle album, Reanimation, where they basically...
The remixes of Hybrid Theory.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It was cool.
It was cool.
G, you got an album that's good to listen to all the way through?
You know what? No, I'm pretty bad about this. I don't listen to albums all the way through.
It's almost like learning how to meditate, right? To just sit there and contemplate nothing and turn your brain off. Except it's not. It's focusing on, I'm listening to this group of people and the noises they make. I definitely recommend trying it.
Right. And I think the last time I did that was when pre-iTunes, everything on YouTube, and it was like Britney Spears and Shakira for me. I
will still rock out to some Shakira. She's fun, man. So, but I was looking at your phone today because I was looking to play music, not because I'm invading your privacy.
Yeah.
I want to know. I need to know who you're talking to.
Yeah. Not like you don't ask me all the time anyway.
But I ask you to your face.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's there?
Just like that.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Who are you talking to?
Is this your other boyfriend?
It's like, no, I'm actually texting my mom.
Are you dating your mom? But you have a lot
Only
of
in
playlists.
Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
So how do your playlist, when you put a playlist together, is there any sort of, how do you put them together? What's your thought process? Or is it just all feel?
I guess you would say feel. Sometimes it's by genre. Like I have a whole playlist of movie soundtracks and TV soundtracks that I like. They're all like superhero action stuff. Sometimes I just feel like listening to that, especially like studying. It's a good background noise for me. Other than that, like I have my Britney playlist for when I'm feeling like that.
2007 Britney?
It's all Britney. I think it's like from her first album to her most recent, I think.
So it includes shaved head Britney?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, Britney is the first and probably the only like official concert I've ever been to.
What?
So and I went. Oh yeah, it was not the most glamorous moment. It was me and my friend when we still lived in Belgium, and we were both about 9-10 years old. And it was post her being like pop princess, pre-shaved head, very sexualized. And of course my parents were like, well, you're 10, we're going with you. Like, obviously that's a given. And then like on top of that, she's like doing all these like sexy stuff on stage, and we're just like, oh, okay. Like
My first concert was Hanson.
Really?
No
I
way.
was like 6.
Oh.
I grew out of boy bands probably when I was like 10 or 11.
Oh, that's another. Yeah, boy bands like the
Backstreet
Backstreet
Boys,
Boys and
NSYNC.
NSYNC. We had all of the CDs for those.
My dad
first-
and I used to fucking jam to the Backstreet Boys.
Dude, you know what? I went back and listened
Like,
to
how
some of
do
that
you
shit
not?
again. Their first couple albums,
Yeah.
like Linkin Park, very
good.
well done.
Oh,
Yeah.
Very, very well done. Not my cup of tea, but very well done.
What were you going to say, Chris?
I was going to say my first concert was Van Halen.
Really?
No way.
You lucky fuck.
What?
Also a great album to listen to. Their original Van Halen.
Yeah.
Van Halen 1. Great album to listen through, straight through. By the way, that came out in 1979. That is, people think of Van Halen as like the quintessential 80s rock band.
Well, it's the end of the 70s.
But that album came out in 1979.
Maybe they
But
jumped
it
the-
is so hard for something that came out in 1979.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. It just comes right out with Running with the Devil. That boom, 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 boom,
Yep.
yeah. And then right into Eruption.
Yeah, that album was dirty.
Yeah.
Even though Metallica records are great to go through.
Yeah. Yes. Pretty much anything before the Black Album.
Yeah.
I really hate to admit that I have a lot of work ahead of me to really start to enjoy Metallica, only because with my alarm clock radio CD player that I had, I always had on 93.3 because Preston and Steve used to be on a radio station called Y100.
Yeah.
And they went under. What's that?
They were out in media. Y100.
Yeah, and they went under in a.
That was the late 90s, like 99, 2000, they went under.
Yeah.
I was listening to it in my bedroom in Willow Grove
Yeah.
when it went down. They just like, it was totally unceremonious. They played their last song. It went quiet for like 10 minutes, and I was like messing with my radio, like what? And then it was like a rap station, and I was so confused and hurt inside.
Yeah, I was in the car when that happened. It changed over. I was like, wait, what the fuck am I listening to now? It was bizarre. I guess it shows how many of us listened to the radio at the time. Like I know like 5 people who heard the transition at right at midnight. So Preston and Steve went away for a while. They're a morning show here in the Philadelphia area. And then they came back to 93.3, and I wanted to listen to them. But every goddamn day, they would play the same AC/DC song, which was Dirty Deeds.
Thunder Chief.
Thunder Jeep.
No, I thought they were saying Thunder Chief, like the old locomotive. I was like, I don't care about this fucking train anymore.
Has nothing to do with Dirty
beef.
Deeds.
That's what it actually is.
What is it?
Fresh grilled beef.
Grilled beef.
Because because every day, like it has those stupid bells or whatever in that song, and every day I'd have to wake up at like 6:15.
That one?
Bang. Wait.
That's Hell's Bells, I think.
Oh, they played that too. Then I guess I had to hear.
Hell's
The main reason I
Bells.
stopped listening to the radio is because it's the same like 6 songs over and over again.
Yeah, but all the Metallica stuff, they play the same ones over and over again. I'm like, all right, I've heard this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But
1029 and 93.3 are both really bad at playing the same songs all the time.
really?
Yeah.
Because 102.9 plays deeper tracks than 93.3
They
does.
do
now.
100%, but like in a week going to and from work, I will hear probably either Rock and Roll or Whole Lotta Love, and I mean I love Zeppelin, so I'm not going to complain about it. 3 times between both stations, I will hear Pick a Chili Peppers, like a pretty, like one of the top 5 Chili Peppers songs. Other Side, Scar Tissue.
By the way,
Danny California. Yeah, By the Way, one of those. I will hear probably, actually, let's say pick 2 twice. I will hear Tom Petty, Mary Jane's Last Dance, maybe Running Down a Dream or Free Fallin' 2 to 3 times. You know, like I just like all of the same like songs. And the one thing that I will complain about is that the 3 main music stations I listen to are 93.3, 102.9, and 104.5. And like the intersection of all 3 of those is the Chili Peppers, but they only play like 4 or 5 songs of the Chili Peppers.
out of a very strong discography.
Right? Like the Chili Peppers have 100 songs at least that you can play on the radio that people would be happy to listen to.
Yeah.
And they pick the same 4 or 5 all the time. And they're on all 3 radio stations. So there's a probably 30% chance that if I'm driving and I flip back and forth between those 3 stations, I will hear the same Chili Peppers song. In fact, there's been a time where the same song was playing on all 3 radio stations, and I couldn't believe it.
My go-to radio station is just the Temple Jazz Classical station.
Yeah, 90.1.
If I listen to music on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't even stream because I'm on a family data plan and I don't even want to trespass on it. So I just download shit to my phone off my like CD rips or stuff I bought on Amazon or whatever, and I just Bluetooth it through the car. That's it. That's all I want. Fuck off. I can put on exactly what I want whenever I want. Fuck the radio. If for some reason it doesn't work, because my car is like 6 years old now and sometimes things don't work for a little bit, then it's 90.1. Or I think, what's the other one? I'll put a 93.3 here and there, and then a commercial hits and I get frustrated and I go back.
Jackie Bam Bam, who used to be the real late night, well, he calls himself Jackie Bam Bam. He used to be the real late night host on 93.3, has moved up a little bit. I think he starts at like 7 or 8 now. He takes a lot of requests. He played Lamb of God.
Really?
Yeah, on like a Friday night the other night.
Awesome.
And I texted him in. I was like, fuck yeah, leave it to the, mighty MMR to play some rockin' Lamb of God. And he goes, no, sir, leave it to the mighty Dracky Bam Bam. So somebody read that and actually texted me back. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Awesome.
But
No, all of the MMR DJs are really interactive with the people that like interact with them. Like if you want to text or email in or something like that, they will respond and they will have a conversation going. Like you can have a conversation with them.
yeah, what's pretty cool, I think, is that a lot of the things that they have you text in, they can surmise the number of listeners that they have really effectively based on the responses to contests and the number of texts you get in. So they really encourage you to text so they can say that they have more listenership, I think.
Makes sense.
There are a couple DJs on MMR that have really good voices, but clearly have smoked for like 30 years. So when they talk really slow, it's like, and I'm like, please.
Pierre is one of them.
Pierre, and then
I met him once.
Dude, so many people don't like Pierre.
I like Pierre.
He's all right.
Yeah.
I don't like his.
I met him at
just saying-
Ozfest when I was 13.
I don't like his laugh. Or whatever the fuck.
So many good sound bites.
It really just sounds like every stoner's laugh I've ever heard. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Bro.
Zach.
Anyway. Oh, Jesus.
And then,
We love you, Zach.
but
No, we don't.
MMR, especially in the morning when Preston and Steve come back from a break, they go into a song, and like they love the Foo Fighters, which
Oh yeah.
I hate to say just kind of bore me. Something about their style is, I don't know.
Well,
I don't
it's one of-
complain if
they-
they're on.
They are played so often, especially on WMR. Like now, I am bored of them.
There's like some level of support music in the song, like something that I'm used to hearing in the background that I don't hear with them. It just seems so vocal heavy, and like the instrumentation is like really kind of
It'd just be the bass is too quiet or something.
maybe. They have been playing some Mastodon regularly on 93.3, and I was like, I listen to a song like this rocks pretty hard. Who is this? They're like, that was Mastodon with whatever. But my biggest problem is that they seem to love this band called Royal Blood.
Oh my God, I was just about to talk about that. Their new music tastes are terrible. They pump these new bands like Royal Blood, and there's another one that I can't remember that they played forever. But yeah, you're right.
New Royal Blood is just two people, like a vocalist with a guitar and a drummer, and everybody's feedback on this band, they all say, whether they say they rock hard, they sound good, they go, they just have so much sound. And I'm like, if your compliment of a band is so much sound, if that's the biggest thing you can say, I don't think they're very substantive.
If you want to hear so much sound,
Wow.
listen to Wardruna. That's my
Such music,
suggestion.
much sound.
So much sound. Oh yeah.
I really do not like Royal Blood.
No, but hey, they're making it big. Good for them.
Well, the White Stripes was almost the same exact thing, except it was what, a bass instead of a guitar?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe, or maybe it was a guitar. Same idea.
No, they have a
and
bass.
they were deliberately not so much sound. Seven Nation Army was an exercise in minimalism, and I think it was cool.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard Royal Blood, and I don't really care to, because I need at least 500 instruments going at once.
Yo, you know who's I just read this morning who is confirmed making a new album going to the studio?
Who's that?
Tool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Confirmed.
Yeah, they announced it earlier that they're going to the studio.
I'm pretty sure that's been going around for like.
Are you sure?
Their last record came out in 2005.
Yeah, but they have that habit of going very long spans of time between
no one
albums.
goes that long. No, listen.
Tool does.
They've never have before.
Look between Lateralis and 10,000 Days.
4 years. 2001, 2005.
Okay.
Which is a totally typical turnaround.
Yeah.
It's been 13.
Lateralis, a album you should listen to from start to finish.
Yes, agreed.
10,000 Days.
Many
is
10,000 Days. Yeah.
Every
both of
Tool
those.
record you should listen to, start to finish.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
On mushrooms. We don't support drug use. I'm talking about shiitake mushrooms.
Drink responsibly.
Just do every drug you can find. It's fine.
You find pills on the ground. Make sure to take them because drugs are
Eat
expensive.
only shiitake
Listen, you
mushrooms
don't
for
let them
24
go to
hours.
waste. Okay.
What was that, Frank?
Eat only shiitake mushrooms for 24 hours and then listen to Lateralis.
Do not.
On the
Do
toilet.
not-
Uncooked.
Oh yeah.
Frank's views do not represent the views of Two Guns No Ammo.
Okay. Speaking of bands with like a shitload of people in it, I listened to We Came as Romans.
Ooh.
There's like 11 people in that
Yep.
band. There's
Hey.
like 4 drummers, and 7 guitarists, a
Arcade-
singer, another singer. They're all like these like skinny, like sort of sad looking guys wearing black. They look like they're all 22 and they're just crushing it. Oh my God. I ironically love that band. It's like an army of people who are in a bad mood making music.
Arcade Fire has a ton of people in it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Slipknot's got a
I think
whole
they've got
bunch
9.
too. They got
They have 9, I think.
yeah.
Or had, I don't know. But they have people literally banging on trash cans. It's kind of sweet.
Oh, sort of like Stomp. Is that show still running?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Doesn't the Blue Man Group do shit like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in Vegas. all the
PVC
time.
pipes.
Okay, so off the top of your heads, any great game soundtracks you can think of? I'm going to throw out Halo, of course.
Yeah, great. Great
Halo,
choice.
Xenosaga Episode 1 with the London Symphony Orchestra.
No shit.
Yeah.
Right up there.
Mass Effects.
Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And these are all good enough. I think what we're saying is these are all good enough. If you wanted to take the time and listen to the OST, the original soundtrack, they're only like an hour. Most of them.
Yeah, just an hour.
And they're, I mean, that's not long for an album. Throw them on in the background, like while you're cleaning or something. Pretty sweet.
Mhm.
Don't they actually say that you should listen to game soundtracks while you're like trying to get shit done because like the music's specifically designed to like motivate you to get shit done in the game, so it works similarly in real life?
I'd
Makes
never
sense.
heard that, but my feelings tell me that's probably right, so I'll treat it as
it's
fact.
probably-
Feelings are facts.
That's accurate. We two people on the podcast said it at once, therefore it's true. Nothing else is though. Movie one, Behind Enemy Lines,
Ooh.
is an incredible. It's a good movie and it's an incredible soundtrack.
Movies opens a whole
Why?
can of worms, though, because there are so many great movie soundtracks.
There are, but there are very few that I could tell you by name. Listen to this whole OST,
Right.
OST, whatever.
Interstellar.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's what I was gonna say.
Gladiator has a great soundtrack
Yeah.
too. Hans, unfortunately, or fortunately.
No, good for him.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit about Hans Zimmer before we came on the microphone, and it was kind of funny because everybody likes his work, but he gets all the work,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like,
pretty
Who's
much.
coming on the microphone?
what?
Nothing.
Gross.
Don't worry about it.
But
I did right before we started.
Oh, okay.
oh, that's why it smells good.
That's how
is
our
that why
sound
it's
is so good.
salty?
Okay.
That's-
Jesus.
why are you licking the mic? I know you're practicing for later, but like just practice on me.
This is too much. This is too much.
Dick jokes.
So no, but
Fellatio.
well,
Final
you were the guys
Fantasy
with.
VII, another album that
Yes.
you should listen to.
I've always been fond of the Final Fantasy ones. I thought they were just very
I think
appropriate. And
seven stood out to me specifically, probably because of the main theme, and really it's just like 2 or 3 tracks on there that I thought were just like very legit, and there are very good recording. I think it always helps when there's a really good recording of it outside of the MIDI music in the game.
Yeah.
And there is, I think it is the Tokyo Philharmonic that did a recording of it, so that always helps to have like a real orchestral, like legit musicians tackling it.
All right. I think we've explored these topics a little bit, and it's time for us to take a break.
It is union mandated by the Union of Me.
We are the collective. We are Borg. We are break
Frank.
time.
We are break time.
Resistance is futile. All right, welcome back. We actually just got to watch some gameplay of State of Decay 2. And
Courtesy of Undead Labs and IGN.
the biggest takeaway was that I blew a good opportunity for that Screecher and Bloater joke. And I said, oh, you're describing my ex-girlfriends. Kind of a lame throwaway. What I should have said was, how my ex-girlfriends would describe me. Next level self-deprecation. So thank you. Since you're listening to this podcast, you know, you're welcome for that revision. You know, I'm forcing you to hear that joke again, and you'll like it.
boy.
Okay, anytime.
Don't worry, there's no one listening to like it anyway. Except
that
your
one-
dad.
Except your dad.
I'm
And he's loving
100% sure my dad probably leaned back from the stereo. Went, no, you can't make me like that. No. Okay, what are your guys' takeaways from watching this few minutes of gameplay?
I'll buy it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the gameplay looks good. The engine looks like it's running much better. The one thing that they focused on right at the beginning and the outset is they said that this gameplay isn't going to be focused on like the base building or anything. It's just a couple little side missions. But I mean, the combat looks much better than it did in the first one. And I hope that you guys all buy it so that we can play a 4-player team together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing that I appreciated them remarking was that it still has a couple more months of polish to go through based on this video, because I'll give a specific example. One of the characters that we were watching was putting a sword or machete into a sling over her back, and the animation looks kind of wonky.
Yeah.
Like her arm went up and then like really quickly moved the sword. I'm not even sure the sword movement was animated and then went down. But her whole arm did a motion to put a sword on her back, and nothing else on her body reacted to that movement.
Yeah,
Like
you'd have to like twist back a little bit.
Yeah.
But she just like
Just
her
arm up and back.
She looks like a fellow cyborg, Frank.
she does.
Some of the movement was a little was unnatural.
Twist.
That's basically what I hope. I hope what they mean by polish includes more natural movement, which I imagine it would.
And there might be like bugs here and there too.
Yeah. And then, but one thing that I really did like was the feedback that you get from like firing a long range rifle. Like the sound was satisfying and sort of realistic to me. And then there's a little bit of like shake on your scope in your gun. And was there screen shake, which can be a nice touch.
I don't remember.
I don't think.
Anyway, the weapon feel seemed really, really good to me. Another thing I noted, I don't know if they do this in the first game, but the character used a health pack, and when they only had one left, they go, "I only have one left," like saying it to themselves.
Yeah, they
It's
do in the first one.
Okay, that's a really great organic way to alert the player of like some sort of status effect.
You know what game is really good at those little details? Fallout 4. Like when you know what I mean? When you like when you pick a lock or something, you'll just like, got it. Like the character will do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It does that sort of thing, and it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't have like a last item use.
No,
thing.
but like you pick a lock, you're like, got it. Or you hack a terminal, like come on, you miss it.
Yeah. It's like I can't do this one.
Mm-hmm.
It locks too tight.
Yeah.
I think is one of the lines.
That's awesome. I would always appreciate that little bit of like quality acting over just a regular status update.
Yeah.
And it always, when games do that right, it sort of surprises me. I'm like, oh shit, there's a character that I'm this character, but I'm outside of the game. I'm not saying it, but this seems like something I would think. It sort of helps the role play.
You know what? Here's something that we can talk about, and I think this will be a good topic to discuss.
Okay.
Like displays, HUD displays in games.
Mm.
I prefer less. Like especially mostly when it comes to RPGs, I don't have a heads-up display in real life. Now if this were set in the future and I were like, John 117 in Halo, Master Chief, running around and I had this fucking cyborg suit on me, yeah, I should have a heads-up display that tells me how much ammo I have left, my vital signs, all that shit. Like that makes sense. But if I'm some random dude running around post-apocalyptic wasteland, okay, you can show me my health just so that I know, but I want less on the screen as opposed to more, and I want those context clues. Like one of my favorite things. This will never happen because people would complain about it too much, but I don't want a bullet counter on my gun. Like I want to keep shooting and then hear the click and like have that reaction of like click, 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 click. Oh God, I got to reload, and like have like a context from like the player character on the screen be like, crap, I'm out.
There's some game I played that if you shot all the bullets in your gun and you kept trying to shoot it, the gun would keep clicking. It wouldn't be until you stopped shooting that you would
reload.
Right. It wouldn't be until you stopped shooting that the character then reloaded.
That's how PUBG is. You just keep shooting and it'll keep clicking. And then you have to like, oh crap, I got to.
State of Decay is like that too.
I think so.
I think it is. Yeah.
You know what though? That annoys me a little bit. Are you talking about like automatic weapons?
I mean any weapon. Mostly,
I wasn't.
I was mostly
pistol.
talking. Yeah, I was thinking in my head I was thinking semi-auto because I never fire automatic anyway.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Never mind then. Because if it's an automatic weapon and it keeps clicking and you're holding the trigger down, that's
won't do
incorrect
that.
and it would piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that makes sense. to me.
Well, there was
Frank, what game is that? One game that's exceptional for what you want, I thought, was Phantom Pain, Metal Gear Solid. There's nothing on the screen, right? Unless you just when you have the weapon up in the corner, there's not like you have nothing on the screen, like no HUD display, other than the iDroid. And then like that even happens in like real time too. So like you can't, it's not like a pause and you can like fiddle around and stuff. So like I think that's kind of what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
It's just very minimal on the screen, and
Yeah.
like because you really in that game you really have to watch your entire surroundings. So it's good that you have like nothing blocking you like that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you.
It it really does seem to me to be application specific. Because some shooters give me so much fucking information that like it blocks part of the screen and it ends up being distracting. And I'll say I have the bad habit of in shooters. I developed this in Counter-Strike. As soon as I would kill somebody and there was no enemies around, I would immediately reload. And I do that in Overwatch now, and I end up like their teammate comes around the corner and blows me away as I'm in the middle of my long reload animation. So, in Counter-Strike and even now in Overwatch, my ammo like count is totally irrelevant. I never use it because I either shoot until I run out because I've been shooting at somebody for so long, or I get a break away. I hide behind a corner. I'm reloading anyway, so I could probably do without that counter. Now, if you were doing something like it was supposed to be more of a sim, like Ghost Recon or whatever, maybe, or even a Splinter Cell or something like that, where your character is like a professional, having the player have to count their shots fired would be pretty immersive, I think. And I think players would do it. Eventually, they would come around and just...
Ghost Recon, or at least the one or two of those games that I played, it would even retain which magazines you depleted. Like, you didn't just have, like, a magic pool of bullets, and you would always have fresh mags. No, you had 4 to 8 specific boxes, box mags, and if you reloaded at 10 out of 20 rounds, that 10-round magazine was still in your inventory. And you eventually, if you were shooting a lot, would wind up back with those last 10 bullets. And, like, that's what you get. So that was kind of cool, and I think I definitely wouldn't want it in every game, but I'm right there with you as far as like professionals are concerned. Yeah,
I have pondered over that quite a bit, and typically I like the magical pool of bullets because I imagine in a lot of these games that the are less simmy and more like you're playing a character who's supposed to be super cool, that they know how their bullets are laid out. And I just imagine that when I reloaded in the middle of a mag, like in the game world, they were like, oh, this was a half-loaded mag anyway or something like that. So I just explained it away to myself.
That's fine. That little bit of head lore is totally fine for most games. You have the opposite extreme of Ghost Recon, that is Doom, where you don't reload.
Yeah.
You walk over bullets, and they are in your gun, and that's it.
Yeah, and like for a game like that, I'm totally cool with that.
Yep.
The big thing for me on different games is the stamina and the health display. Now, I'm not playing any games right now with real stamina, but we're looking right here at State of Decay, and it has what I would say is like the GTA style circle map with objectives on the little mini map itself, and next to it has a bar that goes around the map for your health and a bar that wraps around the map for your stamina. I hate that system.
Really?
I hate it because I want to look at the center of the screen, and looking all the way to one corner, like the big map's going to catch my eye first, and then I have to adjust down to look at the bars, and it's like too many eye movements for me if I'm stuck in if I'm shooting at a player and then I wonder if I need to duck behind cover and heal or put my stamina. I want it to be like one eye movement up down, not like corner look assess back. It's just,
well, if you didn't skip eye day at the gym, you wouldn't have to
burn. And the other way
bros
around
don't let bros skip eye day.
The other way around that, to what degree would be successful for this game, I have no idea, is to, if you're taking hits, that's your cue to go behind cover or to bug out for a second.
Yeah. Well, there you can have the strawberry jelly system where when you get hit, somebody throws jelly on your screen, apparently all around your character. like the blood. It's supposed to be blood on your camera, which doesn't. Whatever. I don't love that system because it impedes my ability to see. Like if we're suspending enough logic that I can take 9 bullets and regenerate health, let's suspend logic and say that the blood isn't in my eyes and I can see just fine until the moment I die.
Mm-hmm.
But I like my standalone health meters maybe at the bottom of the screen, because looking up, like there's the sky, there could be more players. On the bottom of the screen is closer to me and it's less likely to be distracting. I just down, up real quick. To the sides, there can be other players that distract you and all that stuff. But waypoints. How do you guys think that waypoints should be handled in games?
I'm not a fan of having them on the screen.
Can we first define what waypoints are?
Good point. So in a lot of games, so there are games that don't have waypoints. Think Dark Souls. Characters in the game just tell you where to go, and then you got to figure it out. In games like Skyrim or what were you talking about? Grand Theft Auto. You are given a task, they tell you where to go, but the game doesn't expect you to know or figure it out. It in game goes into your map, makes a marker, a point, the waypoint, that's what they are. It makes a little marker on your map. It makes a waypoint. So that you can see on your map if you check where you're supposed to go, but on your screen or on your mini map or both, there is a little, like we're looking here, it almost looks like an
arrow or a pin on
an
Google Maps.
upside down teardrop.
Yep.
And it'll, if you have to go forward, it could be like at the top of your screen or at the top of your mini map. You have to turn left or right because you're headed the wrong direction. It'll be on that side of the screen. If it's behind you, it can be on the bottom of the screen. So basically, these waypoints tell you while you're playing the game on normal view where you're supposed to navigate.
Okay.
Some games will show you a path that you have to follow, like on the ground. That's pretty darn involved, but it's really useful for. Well, we're looking at State of Decay, cooperative play. When you have other players, you want to know where your teammates are. And even though this is third person, like the camera is looking over the shoulder of your character, you still don't have all your peripheral views, all your peripheral vision like you do in real life. So it's pretty easy to lose track of your companions. And in order to enjoy the gameplay, you have to know where they are. So they have little waypoint markers over their heads, and it lets you know where they are at all times. So do you guys have any sort of opinions on how waypoints should actually be managed or done? Or would you get rid of them altogether?
Not
Depends.
a fan of waypoints on the screen for the most part. I'll check the map.
Do you like having them on the map directing you certain ways, like having an arrow pointing to the way you're supposed to go?
I like having it on a map that I have to manually check and then plan a route
Okay.
to that.
Not even the ones over your companions?
Do you know where they are?
I'll take that. But I want it to be small.
Mm.
Okay.
I like how Skyrim did it, where they had the compass and everything was on the
I
compass.
hated that.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I liked
Absolutely hated it.
How was
like
that done,
that.
Chris?
Because it's also on the screen.
it. Yeah.
Like if you look at a door, there's a big glob of a entry thing on that door, and it's on your compass marker.
What do you mean it's on your compass marker?
So
For
there's
people who haven't seen it.
So there is a compass at the top of the screen that tells you which direction you're facing, and then it has like all the landmarks, like the fast travel locations, and as well as your quest marker.
Now it's a bar compass,
Yes.
so you're seeing, we'll say 180 degrees of it.
Yeah.
And it just, as you turn to the left, the compass turns counterclockwise, right?
Yep.
So if you're facing south, you'll then face east. You'll then face north if you're turning left, and vice versa. So it's giving you like a horizon basically.
Yep.
It's not like a circle compass where there's an arrow spinning around.
Yeah.
You're the arrow, and you're on the plane of the compass. And then on that plane, will in a given direction, we'll say south is a arrow. So, go this direction for this thing, please. And you'll go there. And then when you get there, the same arrow is on the thing. It's on the compass and on the thing. It just holds your hand.
Yeah, it really holds your hand, like completely babies you. And I'm not saying I don't think I would mind a game like Morrowind where you literally get like directions in paragraph form, where it's like head north on this road until you get to this sign and then take a right and then head, half a mile until you get to the shack. And that's where you need to go. And there's
figure it out.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you necessarily need to do that. But I don't need the compass marker and the screen marker that just said, like, I can just like turn my character, point at the compass marker, and then run there, and when I'm 200 feet from it, I see this gray arrow on what I'm supposed to run to. I don't need that, and I'm just like, it makes it so easy because I am so lazy. And I will just do that. I will turn in the direction I need to face and then continue to run until I get where I want to go.
Roads be damned.
Yes.
Well, that's pretty much me. That's probably why I like it.
But
so
if I
much.
didn't have that, I would like explore and I'd like try and figure it out.
Yeah. See, I really like that system because in a game like Skyrim, the world is so fucking big. I've tried to follow the roads to get where I'm going, and they just disappear sometimes. And I'm like, okay, I want to go to this town and do this fucking mission. I don't want to be off fighting bears. But I have no idea if this is supposed to be a road. The issue that I run into in a world that big without sort of babying level guidance is that I run into things where like the devs thought it would be obvious to a player that this is what you should do, but when I play, it's not obvious to me, and it goes for. And I end up in that situation that I run into in a lot of old games, where like I'm in a room, I have beaten the game to this point, but I can't figure out that fucking magic pixel I'm supposed to examine in order to move to the next, and it's not part of the gameplay. I just get stuck, and that is so unfun for me, like wholly unfun. I just want to get to where I'm going and then do the mission, or it's like, oh, walk into this town and look at the gray door building in, Westrun or whatever, and you get there and you're like, all these doors are gray, and it's like, they're actually slate silver. There's only one gray door and it's got a matte finish, you fool.
I'll never forget in Final Fantasy VII, there's this one part, I think it's like pretty close to the end of the first disc, right? And everybody who's played the game will probably know what I'm talking about. There's a place called like the City of the Ancients. It's in the north part of the map. And like you have to go there, right? And you have an airship. So actually this can't be in the first disc, right? Because you don't get the airship until the second disc. But at any point you have to go to this place, right? And I could not figure out how, like I could fly over it and I could see it. And I was like, I don't understand how I'm supposed to get there, because like one of the things with the airship is you can only land it on grass, right? For whatever reason, that's the rule of the game. You hit like X and it lands and it just zooms right to the ground and you get out. Well, apparently you could also land on this ice river outside of like the City of the Ancients, because it's the City of the Ancients on the world, like the 1997 PlayStation 1 world map was this like diamond shaped like snow cone, like that's what it looked like, seriously. And there was this like ice river glacier thing that ran up to it, and you could just land there. And I remember,
They don't tell you that.
Yeah, they don't tell you that. And I spent like a week or two like stuck in this game, and then my friend came over. I mentioned before I used to like play with my friend, like we would like go to each other's house and watch each other play, or like talk on the phone while we were playing.
Look, stop trying to tell us about your friends, okay?
I'm sorry,
Like,
they don't exist anymore.
Exactly, yeah. Like it's getting obvious now.
So he would like he
Too
came
hard.
over, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what to do here. And he's like, oh, you just land right here. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like literally required no effort whatsoever. I just didn't know you could do that, nor did I try.
And that's what happened to me in the water temple in Skies of Arcadia. You usually can't fall off the edge of like cliffs and platforms and stuff, but in this temple you needed to fall off of the edge in order to land on this other thing. And I was like, God damn it. I stopped playing the game for 3 months because I couldn't figure this out. And it was the only place in the level that you could fall off of anything. Stupid me, after 35 hours of playing that game, didn't think that they changed the mechanics in such a way. But so like, in smaller games, where things are really distinct and you can. I don't know. It's just when it's so big, I don't want to waste a ton of time trying to get through a door.
I understand that. My concern with the next Skyrim, well, the next Elder Scrolls game, I'm sorry, is that they just keep going in the direction where like it gets more and more handheld every iteration.
Yeah.
And that like my complaint about Skyrim, as fun and immersive as it was, one of my many complaints was that I felt like all I did was just like talk to person, fast travel to location, do thing, fast travel back, talk to person, and then find another person to talk to give me another place to go to fast travel to.
Same thing with Fallout.
Yeah.
A lot of people have complained about that.
Mm-hmm. And it's so dependent. Like literally, all you're doing is just fast travel, and that's one of the things that I loved about survival mode in Fallout 4 when it came out, was that now I had to think a lot more about how I'm going to get to places because I can't just fast travel there.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. I wouldn't mind getting rid of such a high level of guidance if the roads were more clearly marked so that I could actually follow a map or follow hints. You know, I know roads in the medieval times probably didn't have excellent street signs, but whatever.
No, but they should be fairly obvious. I will say I didn't have any problems following the roads in Skyrim, though I didn't do it that much, so I may not have followed the roads that you could not follow.
Yeah, well, if they go like over a mountain or something, then it just becomes...
The mountain paths get real annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I would get to a point where like I'm actually on part of the map that you're never supposed to stand on. And the other thing I would do is I would get rid of fast travel.
Mm-hmm.
If you want me to explore, you know what I mean, then I would just have to accept it as part of the game, as opposed to like, well, I could either go get this cool mission done, or I could waste 40 minutes fighting bears.
I like the hybrid system. I'll be 1 second, Genevieve. Where,
No,
like,
you're fine.
In Skyrim, where you can take the carriages between cities, that's fine for me.
It costs you money.
It's nominal.
It winds up being nothing
Yeah.
because in all these games you just wind up owning a major stake of the economy.
But if you give me enough of those locations to like just go get a carriage between cities or whatever. Or let's say in Fallout, like you have the vertibird, but let's say you have something else, like I don't know, like you could get.
There's
on,
a
like,
mod for Fallout 4. It's an APC. Because you see them like derelict all over the map, but it's one that you can refurbish.
Yeah,
and you convert fusion cores, which are used for the power armor, into fusion cores asterisks, which are specifically for the APC, and it gets you like 3 trips per core. So like it costs ammo basically to do it, and it has you can like build little crafting stations in it and like make it like a mobile base kind of. It's kind of cool. And on survival mode, it's I mean you have to work for it, and I think it's
I would really like that kind of system if every once in a while your carriage was raided and you had to like actively defend it. I think did Red Dead Redemption do that?
If you were putting around in your horse, you would run into raiders, but that's like any other of these games.
And those mountain lions were the most dangerous.
They were nuts.
Took like 5-6 bullets at least from like your lever action or your shotgun.
Yeah, the mountain lions that live in the desert for some reason would jump on you. Okay, so I will tell you this: in team-oriented games, having waypoints in like Overwatch, super useful, because otherwise, like, I couldn't coordinate with my team and rush into anything. Or maybe I could. We'd just have to talk a lot more.
Okay, yeah. In Overwatch and games like it that are very, I'm going to say arcadey style.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Love it. Love it. It's just, it puts me in a different mood, and like it gives me something to focus on. Like, these are the objectives of this video game. But if you're trying to immerse me in an environment, I want as little as possible on the screen.
That makes sense. What's interesting with so the World War I Call of Duty.
Yeah. You mean Battlefield 1?
Yeah. Sorry. Somebody was running at 4K with nothing on the HUD. So it was just, you were just a guy fighting in the war looking at everything happen. And it was immersive as fuck. It was intense. You're jumping into trenches. You're getting rolled over by tanks. You have no ammo counter. It's definitely enjoyable. And 4K looks amazing. Interestingly enough, there's a difference between Counter-Strike and Overwatch that I was struck by. Now, Counter-Strike uses a radar, On your radar, it's a little circle mini map. I think in the upper left, it has like the outlines of the buildings, and you can see on your mini map where all your teammates are out to like 15 meters or something at all times. You can see the enemy if they shoot a gun. It might be shoot a gun. I think it's actually just if your team sees them, then their location is pinged and lingers for 10 seconds after they're not seen anymore, which is a pretty neat system. I have been killed by looking at the map to try to see an enemy as he pops around the corner and shoots me in the face. Now, an Overwatch doesn't have a map at all, which is pretty interesting, which leads to me getting flanked by tunnels and shit I didn't know were there. But the enemy is highlighted with a red outline while you're playing on your screen. So camouflage is totally non-existent, which I thought was a genius way to promote people unlocking skins, because people aren't all going to wear the same skins that are really good to hide their outline in the game, because everybody's outlined in red. Yeah. So you don't go, is that an enemy? You go, oh, that's red. Boom.
Yeah, I enjoy that. And I enjoy that in Overwatch there are certain moves that you can see people through walls and they highlight them red through the walls.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Hanzo sound arrows.
Dude, yeah. Well, fuck Hanzo, by the way. He's getting nerfed. I'm so pleased.
Is he?
Yeah, they're getting rid of... Okay, so Hanzo is this archer, and he's supposed to be like a sniper, but he's one-hit kill all of his shots, except for his sonar arrow, which... actually might still be a one-hit kill, but when you shoot it, anybody around you can see their form through walls. It's basically wall hacks. But he's got this scatter shot that shoots 3 arrows that bounce off of every surface in a room, and if anyone hits you, I believe even if you're a tank with like 400 health, it's a one-hit kill.
I've never been one-hit killed by Hanzo except headshots with a fully charged bow. That's on the Xbox version though, so they balance things differently on PC versus Xbox.
I am one-hit killed by that chode all the time.
I still very much dislike Genji and Hanzo.
Yeah.
It's just racist.
But they're... his ultimate's also pretty rough, because it's like...
Yeah.
He shoots this arrow, and then out of it comes these like dragon shadow things that go through walls.
See, his ultimate used to kill me all the time. Him and McCree, right? They used to kill me all the time because they're basically just like instant one-hit kills that come out of what seems like nowhere until you like get killed by them 25 times, and then you just listen for him to scream, "Hurrah!
You walkie take a doll," or whatever the fuck he says,
and then like
and it goes,
and I'm just like, okay,
Inception?
and then I just get out of the way, and then it doesn't kill me.
Well, that's the thing. If you're in a building heavy area and Hanzo shoots his dragon whatevers, you can't see shit. You have no idea where he is. So you're like walking through a tunnel, I'm probably safe, and then the dragon face hits you, and you're like, oh, I better run 6 feet. No. You're dead anyway, because your character's like, oh, my body hurts, and then you're dead. Or your frames are behind you, because, I don't know, your damage frames are behind you. It's fucking frustrating.
Also,
McCree, on the other hand, you can just run around a corner, because he has to be able to see you. And it's actually Matt Mercer from Critical Role. Yeah. He goes, it's high noon, and then it zooms in here. It shoots you. It's pretty cool. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, like those were two ults that used to like fuck my day up every time they were used, and now it's pretty much solely just Diva throwing her fucking robot and exploding it at me.
Oh my god, Diva! Yeah, she can launch. She jumps out of her mech, and then it flies in a direction and explodes. And like, it doesn't matter if you're like behind a pillar.
Yeah,
it has to be a wall of like certain width or something. And I'll be like 100 yards away and but in open space, and like, nope, that definitely killed you. I don't understand the rhyme or reason here. I don't get it at all. But then I like tuck into a closet or something 5 feet from it. Like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I cannot figure out how to hide from that, because there are so many times where I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna die. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm just gonna try and kill this person, and then I survive, and I'm like, what? Like, I was 5 feet from it. How did I live? And then there are other times when I'm so far from it, I'm like, oh yeah, she's doing her ult over there, and then I die, and I'm just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Reinhardt, his shield can block it, So
Okay.
that's one thing. But there's also Junkrat. He like, I can't remember what he says, but it's fucking something. Now you're in for a surprise or some goofy shit like that. And he like, it goes. It sounds like a dirt bike, and it's just an explosive wheel that he can drive around and then detonate. And if you're near it, you die. And every time I want to do the hand clap emoji. Every time it's played, it kills me. Even if there's like a group of my 5 other teammates are around the corner,
It's just you.
and he could get 5 kills at once. No, it becomes and then I'm like running away, and he goes, "Oh, let me," but boom, blows me up. I'm like, "Fuck me!" Like, come on. Or like I'm about to use my ultimate, boom. Or just as I'm starting to use it, so I have to regenerate it all over again.
Yep.
You can shoot it, but oftentimes I'll be shooting it. I'll get it down because it shows his screen. It gets down to like 3 health, and then he detonates it and kills his bow. Like, you fucking asshole. The other thing is Junkrat can use it from beyond the grave. So I actually find the guy guiding the goddamn thing. I shoot him in the face, and then he wheels around and blows me up. It drives me bananas. But that leads me to another thing, sort of like the waypoints. Direction of damage in shooters. Some of them are like so terrible. There'll be these arrows that seem to be pointing like up to the sky, and you're getting shot from like the back.
Yeah.
In Overwatch, I oftentimes have no idea where I'm getting hit from. Like, I'm like, oh, surely it's to my left. No, Joker, it's this guy at your like 5 o'clock. So they shoot me in the face.
That's what PUBG makes it really interesting, because you don't get the arrows to tell you where you're getting shot from. You're supposed to be wearing a headset or have surround sound to be able to listen for the bullets. But like the sound, when we were talking about sound, I forgot to call this out. The sound in that game is top notch, especially the bullet shots. Like the different sounds that you hear, you can tell the difference between a shot that was fired inside versus outside. You can tell the difference between a rifle or a submachine gun or a handgun. You can tell the difference between a bullet sound itself and the echo off of the brick wall to your right. So like, and it makes it really, really confusing sometimes if you are getting shot at and you're in like a valley area and you can hear the shot. You hear like 3 shots, because you hear the original rifle shot, then you hear 2 echoes off of it. And you hear it, and the delay is there too, because the sound will travel at the speed of sound towards you. So you'll first hear the echo, and then like immediately after that, you'll hear the sound. And if somebody's shooting really far away from you, you'll hear the bullet hit the ground and kick up some dirt, and then like a half second later, you'll hear the actual rifle sound.
Yeah. There's a movie called Quigley Down Under. About this cowboy who goes to Australia for some reason, and he's got an experimental lever action rifle with an extra long barrel, and he's fucking smoking these like guys who are killing aboriginals. He's smoking the guys from like a mile away, and there's a big scene at the end of the movie where a guy drops dead. They're like, "It's Quigley," and they're like, he goes, "Where is he?" I was like, "I don't know, I didn't even see him." And he goes, "How long after the guy was killed did you hear the rifle sound?" He's like, "I don't know." He goes, "Was it 1 second or 2?" Like, he was really intense trying to figure out how far away, you know what I mean, because of the delay. It was pretty great. That movie's great. Yeah, maybe my problem is that I'm playing Overwatch on just like regular TV speakers as opposed to headphones.
Yeah, the headphones help a lot. You can hear the footsteps; they amplify the sound of the opponent's team's footsteps, and then the directional sound for the shooting helps a lot too. Dude, and I picked up my headset for like $25.
I've got a headset. I just like playing it with the big sound of the TV.
My headset sounds way better than my sound bar, even.
It's not necessarily the quality of sound.
Okay.
I
don't want the thing over your face.
I like not necessarily having the sound so close to my ears. I keep my my voice chat on my ears, and then I play the rest of it through the.
Have you ever looked into surround sound for your setup?
Not really in earnest. Just because it's like an expense that I haven't really cared to explore, but I should.
What's really bad, well, we haven't had a receiver, and now hopefully we're going to use the old receiver that we were using for the podcast downstairs in our living room. But we have plenty of speakers to set up, like at least 5.1 surround sound, and we just haven't really done anything about it in the year and a half that we've lived here.
These things happen.
Yeah. We might do it at some point.
So there
in the next year.
Moving away from shooters, specifically a game that I have certain desires for heads-up changes would be the Civ series. I would like more information, but I would like the option to have the overall map on one big screen and then have a second screen with all my heads-up data on it. So I just have the map, and then everything else that's relevant is on a separate screen.
I'm sure there's a mod for that.
We've actually said this when I talked about it last time, but that was like 30 episodes ago. There might be a mod, but that's what I'm saying. That game, there's no fast like Twitch. So games where you have to react really quickly, like shooters, are called Twitch shooters. We have to turn. This is not a Twitch shooter. It's a take your time strategy game.
It's a turn-based strategy game. There's no time limit at all. I agree. The information, at least in Civ 6, is there. You can get really deep on break down your information really granular. It's just kind of difficult to find sometimes.
What would you think about that, G? You played some Civ.
I have. I feel like it wouldn't it doesn't bother me though. I don't know if that would be any more benefit to me as far as gameplay goes. Are you talking about like when you click on cities, would that show up in the second screen? Or
no, I'm talking about what's in the overall map, like your science progression, your money, your that kind of shit. All the information that's just presented in the general game screen. I'd like to have that moved off to the side, so I just have a pristine game map on one screen and then all my information on the other one.
But you would still have the same view of the map. It wouldn't be like the whole world expanded.
You can zoom in and out.
Because you'd still have to scroll.
You can already zoom in and out, so it'd be exactly the same, just with my heads-up display on another screen.
I don't have a strong opinion either way.
Do you have any sort of games with any sort of HUD that you care to weigh in on? Like, what did you think about it in the Batman Arkham series?
I'm trying to remember what that actually looks like. Because I think it's like you have your health and armor bar up in the top left, and then your map in the bottom left. And then your tools or your gadgets on the right bottom.
Yeah, and that only shows up if you hit the D-pad to bring it up.
Right.
And then like it had a marker that was like the bat signal would actually like illuminate on your target.
But that was, I think you had to select it.
So yeah, that's like when you like put your manual waypoint in.
Yeah. I liked all of that.
Yeah.
To me, that was helpful, and it was just out of the way enough.
Yeah, because the game was like so dark in general, because the whole thing takes place at night. So like it was beneficial to actually have that stuff there, because you couldn't see shit anyway.
And then you can set your marker anywhere you want. So you could go for the main mission, or you could just decide, at this point, I'm going to do some side stuff, and then click on those. And
yeah, I like having the option to turn off the waypoint to explore. So
now there was you would track footsteps sometimes in that game, right?
Yes.
So it served as like a guide, but you had to toggle something on and off.
Yeah, what was that? The Bat Vision.
Yeah,
you had to toggle that on and off, and like detective mode, I think it was called, right? Yeah. It pretty much like was like a scanner of like the area, and like it'll like illuminate the steps, but also would help you search like crime scenes. You could like find bullet trajectories, so you can like locate the guy who shot the bullets, because I think you have to dead shot you have to find that way,
like once or twice.
Yeah, I think he appears in a couple of the games, so and it was generally the same thing. So yeah, no, like that's how that worked.
So it's a nice level of separation from like entirely holding your hand. Like it is literally showing you where you could.
Well, yeah. Well, it's one of Batman's tools for detecting.
Yeah,
so
and part of
you just get to use it.
Part of some of the missions were you almost needed to have a marker that you could see, because they were timed. Like you have to get across the city in like a minute and a half or less. Otherwise, someone dies or something bad happens.
Yeah. It also
makes it less confusing.
Yeah. And what it also did too was it'll show you if an enemy's armed or not, and if he was with what.
That vision, yeah.
And it also, what else did it do?
His heart rate.
Heart rate, yeah, and it also helped like if they dropped like smoke, you can still see everything.
Mm-hmm. And it highlighted certain doors or things you can
or like
hit.
things you can use the back claw on that
Yeah.
you can like swing around.
Their chip was like a gold yellow instead of blue.
Now, Shadow of Mordor had a similar system. But
it was like
so
the Wraith Vision or something.
Yeah, it was Wraith Vision. But you had to. Sometimes you would track Gollum, the guy who did our intro last week, and like it was easy to do. So, but what they had they made Gollum a really good climber. So if you followed his path, it was like windy all over, and it would take you through enemy areas. Sometimes you had to climb up cliffs and buildings and jump through shit. So it made it not super easy. You could jump the path and try to find it a little further on without going over all the obstacles, but you also couldn't be sure if you weren't like doubling back, and so it just paid to follow everything when it wound around. I can't really think of any other sort of HUDs that were really good. I do like some of these games that put the ammo counters right on your guns, especially if they're like futuristic games. Like I know Soldier 76 does that in Overwatch. I know
Halo, the M85B.
Yep. I think Sombra does that too with hers, but it's pretty neat. She's supposed to be like a technology hacker person. Like you can hack your enemies and shut down their powers. You can hack health generators so that only your team can use it. But her ammo counter, I believe, reads in hex, hexadecimal. So it's like right? So it's like base 16. So binary, zeros and ones is base 2. What we count in decimal system is base 10. So it, like groups of 10. Hexadecimal uses, I think, 8 numbers, maybe 9 numbers, and then it starts to use letters to represent 16 values within 1 digit space, right? So instead of 0 to 9, it's 0 to 15, and then 16 would be the next thing over. So you count in valuations of 16, which is pretty neat. It's used for technology shit.
Used for I think it's used for mod load orders in Bethesda games.
Oh, yeah.
And I think my cousin did a little bit of shit like modding Xboxes and what have you, using some peripherals, and there was a lot of modding with that. Very programming heavy.
Yeah. Anybody else weigh in on the heads up display? All right, we're going to take a second break, and when we come back, I'm going to give my best attempt at an in-depth interview of a brand new game that I bought at full price, Into the Breach.
By interview, we're reviewing. Right? I'm just checking.
Are you going to ask the game questions?
I'm going to ask you to blow me, clown. All right, welcome back. We're going to get into the Breach. This is a new game I think it's February 27th, 2018. I actually watched a playthrough of it on Two Best Friends and said, I need this fucking game right now. And I paused the video less than halfway through, went and bought the game, played it for 3 hours, then watched the rest of the video. It's from the makers of FTL, Faster Than Light, which I guess was developed by Subset Games, because that's who's made Into the Breach. Now, it is that 8-bit style art, and we've talked about this before. We all agreed that the growth and proliferation of 8-bit style is allowing smaller developers to produce games that are aesthetically pleasing, but not necessarily super demanding to put resources into, and it frees them up to create games with really solid gameplay and mechanics. And I think that this is a perfect example of that. Now, I'm going to get into FTL sort of in an overall view, and then lead into similarities with Into the Breach and differences. So FTL is a space game. Basically, you have really important information to stop some big space horribleness, defeating, basically you're the rebels running from the Empire in Star Wars, and you have information that's to defeat their super weapon, and you can stop the Empire and blow them up with this info. And you get a ship. You can choose your ship beforehand, and it has different characteristics, different weapon loadouts, different health levels, different shielding abilities, and I think you get a random crew, and the different races have different abilities. Like there's a rock race, and they don't need to breathe air. There's a mantis race, which is really good for combat. There are like radioactive races that provide energy to your ship so that you don't have to add another power core. And there's the same number of different little paths that you can take like through the galaxy, and there's different sectors, and they're either red, yellow, or green, I believe. Green is friendly, which means fewer enemy encounters, but less goods for you to scavenge. Red is a lot of enemy encounters, which means you could get your shit blown up, but you can find more stuff. And the kind of stuff that you find is scrap, which is like money. You can find different weapons from other ships. You can help out different characters and stories, and sometimes if you help them, they shoot you and damage your ship, or they give you better stuff. Now, the combat in that happens twofold: real time with cooldowns for your weapons that you shoot laser guns, or which have, as long as they're powered up, they have unlimited ammo, or you can shoot rockets, which is obviously limited ammo, or you can install a transporter on your ship, buy extra energy to power that up, and then you can send a boarding crew to the other ship, try to kill everybody in there, and then you get more shit and you can take their ship. It's also very dangerous because if all your crew dies, your ship floats in space forever. But you can also have your ship boarded, and you can do this thing where you open all the airlocks and everybody just suffocates who's not you. It's pretty cool, and it was a very, very popular game. And I think I would classify it as roguelike. We've talked about roguelikes before, in the sense that every time you go through the game, the different sectors that you have to go through and the encounters that you're going to have are randomly generated. Like, you're not going to get the same exact combination time and time again. And the game is for me, has been very, very difficult. There are some people who they go, oh, get the laser cannon straight off the bat, do X, Y, and Z. You'll get to the final boss every time. I've only made it to the final boss twice. He has like 3 different forms.
Oh.
I have never beaten the game. Shits on me. I don't want to give I don't really want to say too much about it because it's a pretty exciting encounter. But that game was really, really, really popular. You had to move your little characters around in real time to respond to your shield generator getting broken. You send somebody in there to heal it up, but if he gets hit with another rocket, he's dead. So you lose that character. There was a room to heal your guys. Somebody had to navigate the ship, which gave you higher evasive probability. So sometimes missiles would just miss your ship or whatever. And then you would sometimes go to basically a space shop, and you could buy weapons. You could buy health for your ship, because if your health goes away, your ship explodes. You're all dead. You could buy, you could upgrade it in other ways so it's more evasive, so it could be invisible a little bit, harder to track, that kind of shit. It was very, very cool. But when you die and lose, which you will, you lose everything. It's all gone. The only thing that you can keep are like your achievements. And if you acquired a new ship, you can then pick that ship to start with, which has different abilities, right? Mm-hmm. Into the Breach takes a lot of these things as a foundation and builds upon them. It is no longer set in space. It is now set in some fantastical universe with 5 islands on a world. And each of these islands has different zones that and I think by attacking, you have the opportunity to earn rewards in the form of reputation, electricity for the power grid, and time pods. So the whole premise of this game is that the world is being attacked by these Vek, which are essentially kaiju. Bug kaiju, big, scary, spooky monsters that come out of the ground. Well, how do you fight them? With your team of 3 mechs. And each of your mechs has a different ability. For example, you have the Blitzkrieg mechs. One of them is, he's got this electricity whip that will damage everybody adjacent, like in a chain, who's standing next to each other all the way through for like 3 damage each, and that can kill them. But until you upgrade that electricity thing, it also hurts your allies and nearby cities, which is not good. There's a guy who throws a big rock as artillery. He can shoot in straight lines all across the map. If he hits something, it does 2 damage. It plants a rock there to block the enemy movement, and it also pushes the enemies. So an important part about this game is that enemies have different styles of attacks. Some will attack as far in a straight line as they possibly can. So if you block it with something, it hits that. It hits you, or it hits a big rock. Some will only swipe in the square next to them. I'm sorry, the whole map is broken up into like 8x8 squares with some cities, some mountains, some water. Everybody occupies that square. And then there are other enemies that like lob like artillery. There are some that attack 3 squares in a line if they're really OP. But your different attacks can push these enemies. And if they were going to attack the square right in front of them, and you push it to the side, and you've now put another enemy in the first enemy's attack zone, it will attack its own ally. And there's a neat little feature. You scroll over attack order, and it shows you in which order the monsters are going to attack. So you can have, if you set it up properly, you can have them like 4 of them like kill each other. So this one kills this one, then this one kills this one, then this one kills this one, and then this one kills this one, and then their turn's over. It's pretty darn cool. So, and that's a major part. Some of these you can push off into water and then they drown. Now, flying monsters you can push over water, but of course they don't drown. Another major mechanic is that more monsters, basically you have to survive for a set number of turns, between like 3 to 7. If you survive, meaning your power grid isn't fully depleted, you have succeeded to some degree. Now you have secondary missions like protect the old Earth armory. And if you do that, you get some bonus, energy or reputation or whatever. Or, you know, don't kill this monster and it will give us new tech. Time pods, which are tech, like pods from the future that have somehow come into your timeline. You open them up and you can get new pilots with new bonuses. You can get energy stuff to power different weapons on your mechs, upgrade your existing weapons, that kind of stuff. But more kaiju or Vek come out of the ground. So if you put a mech on top of it, it does 1 damage to you, but you have prevented another enemy from entering the battle arena. So it's pretty important. But like sometimes if you take that one damage, you're going to get wrecked. The basic idea is that all these islands are run by different corporations, and these different corporations basically have different themes and different environments, and you're coming in to try to help them. And you defeat the first one, you defeat the one that's old Earth, so you find like old Earth artillery and shit that can sometimes help you. You get bonuses for saving. You unlock the second one. The second one's like this desert level run by a different corporation who doesn't like you so much. Beat that one, go to a third one. It's an ice world where like humans and robots used to live in harmony, so you don't want to kill all the robots, even though all the robots want to kill you. I haven't made it to the fourth one yet because the difficulty scales with your ability. So,
yeah, so it's pretty easy if most people play it after you playing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But so then there's the final map, and I haven't even tried it yet. I wanted to unlock all the other. The maps, okay, so once you unlock a different island, they're always accessible in any order.
How much time do you think you spent per map?
25 minutes.
Okay, so it's not a particularly long time that you're there.
No, so on each island, and when you said map, I interpreted it as island. On each island, I think the layouts are consistent of the zones you're fighting, but the rewards differ. And you have different zones on the islands that you can choose to go through in any order. You're like, okay, I want to get this reward because it has a Tide Pod, but I have to go through this one or this one. The ones with more rewards are more difficult. Well, my crew's a little banged up. I just want to get this victory and then get to the Time Pod, so you go a different route. But you only
Time Pod, not Tide Pod.
Right. You only get to defeat 4 zones while you're on the island, so you can't get all the rewards.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Vec take over the rest of the island, and then you have to go defend the corporate headquarters, which is, you can't let this one building get blown up. And you always have the opportunity to get 2 reputation from that victory. And then the island is saved, and you unlock the next one if it's not already unlocked. But when you're about to leave the island, you have the opportunity to buy and sell. So your reputation is your currency. You can use it to buy more energy for your power grid, reactor cores, new weapons, and you can also sell your existing weapons and your existing pilots for your mech, which is pretty interesting. When I keep mentioning power grid is basically your life bar. They say it's the system that even combats the Vec. And what happens is if the Vec hit one of your cities on one of your city tiles, your power grid is depleted. Depending on how much damage the Vec are able to do, it can be between like 1 and 3 health bars out of a total of 7, I think. And once it gets to 0, the game is over. You can buy more health, but it's, money is scarce. You can get it through victory conditions, but you tend to lose it sometimes if you mismanage your shit, which happens often in battle. Each battle you get to reset 1 turn and try it over again, but you can't reset the whole battle. So when you lose, you get to pick, and this is unlike FTL, you actually get to pick one of your pilots to take into the new timeline. So the idea is you're resetting, you're jumping out of your timeline where the world was destroyed and into a new one with a world that has yet to be destroyed, and you're trying to save that one with your new knowledge. So you get to take one of your pilots with you. Now, pilots have different abilities, like one makes your mech able to fly, which means it can move over waters and chasms and still attack. Normally, if you go into water, you can't attack. One of them gives you a health boost. One of their abilities gives you +2 shield, that kind of shit. Now, if your mech is brought down to 0 health, the mech can be repaired after battle, but your pilot is dead and lost forever. Now, if you restart and you don't want to reuse that pilot, you do sort of have a bench of old style pilots that you can use with basic buffs, but your pilots gain experience and get better. So that's why you want to keep your pilots going, because each kill they get more experience, unlock more abilities. There are certain holdovers that you can see are definitely like the health system. You know, your ship had health bars that are basically the power grid, the scarcity of resources, the upgrading of weapons that you can switch in and out, and the random generation of different enemies and prizes and stuff. It reminds me a lot of Advance Wars on the DS that I played, in that it's like grid combat and you have different specialized mechs. There's different squads, and all the squads are 3 different mechs, and you unlock them through getting certain achievements. One achievement was pull an enemy onto you and kill it. So if you move a mech or a kaiju or a mech, really, I told you can push them over.
Right.
Well, if there's another mech or kaiju or mountain there, or even a city, it will slide into it, stay in its original square, but take 1 damage. But whatever's over there also takes 1 damage, including cities, which means your power grid takes damage, so you don't want to do that. But you can, if you have an enemy that's down to 1 health, there's a certain little robot that you can pull onto your own robot. It takes 1 damage, you kill it, then you get a gold coin. And these coins are gotten just from achievements. I think there's 3 for each squad. And then you can unlock new squads. So the original one is pretty straightforward. It's like a tank, artillery, and something other that's not very cool. And then you can unlock the Blitzkrieg, which has the lightning. And then you can unlock something else. I can't remember what it's called, but it has a guy with a laser that shoots through everything in a straight line with decreasing damage. It has that little robot that can pull things around and shield other things. And then it has a mech that just rams things from across the map and takes damage to itself, which has actually been kind of fun, because one of the power-ups I got was, if it's passive, any mech that heals itself, which grants a health and removes status negatives, it affects all of them in the same way. So you can have a little robot sitting in the back that is totally healthy, just keep healing it, and then your tanks like are unstoppable. So I know that was a lot of information in sort of a short amount of time, but this game is tremendous. Every time I play it, it's like the thing that I have with Civ, but in a much smaller time frame. Like Civ, I make one little mistake somewhere, I try one thing new, and I blow it, and then I'm like, oh shit, I better do this again. I can't wait. In Civ, it takes 5.5 hours. In this, you're playing for maybe an hour before you die or win or whatever. You never know exactly what weapons are going to be generated. You don't know what kind of pilot you're going to get. And you don't know how the fuck you're going to F this up. Right? So, like, the pilot I have right now allows 2 turn resets per battle. So I can't tell if they always give you a way to keep your city. Like, if the game is set up so that you can always defend your cities effectively if you're just fucked. But sometimes I'll do all these attacks and realize that, like, oh, my city's about to get boned. Reset the turn, change it, save it, or find out I'm boned anyway. It looks really good. I mean, this is like some, I don't know, Game Boy Advance level art style, but it's well done. Somebody took a lot of care to put a lot of care into it. The diversity of the weapons is quite fun. An example, a laser that shoots through everybody in front of you. You can shoot smoke screens all around you so that you don't get hurt. You can have a power punch to the ground, so it does 5 damage, which will kill just about anything, to anything next to you, and pushes the 2 things next to it sideways, so you can push them off cliffs or whatever. They have alien scions that buff the health of the Vec. Well, you can get a passive buff, so if one of those appears on the field, you get the benefit too. All sorts of different stuff. And while the maps might not change drastically play to play, the level of challenge makes it really, really engaging. And not knowing what resources you're ever going to get, sometimes you just don't got it. You know, you get 40 minutes into it, and you're like, I think I might get it. And then you're like, nope, sorry, the bug monster's BG in the A. And you go, oh, well, maybe next time it'll be a little better. Now, the problem I ran into with FTL was there was almost nothing that carried over. Like, you didn't even get that pilot. So I was just like, dude, I'm just a fucking loser. Like, I cannot get good at this game. And eventually I got bored of it. I go back to it every now and again. And I go, oh, I really like this game. Be like, when you're getting fucked, like you don't make it past the second level, or the halfway point more than 40% of the time, just gets kind of tiring. This game is different because you can pick different starting points. The games don't take quite as much mental energy. You can save in the middle of it. It is a shitload of fun. And if you just take your time and you look at it, you can do some really, really clever kills, stringing together, having monsters attack their friends, would push it over, which shoots at this other monster across the map, which throws it into the water. And then this one guy misses because you moved out of the way, and he hits a mountain, and the mountain explodes, and then it's all sorts of neat stuff. The enemy diversity is pretty cool. Some of them shoot big globules that explode. Sometimes there are big bads that they'll blow up. They'll do 5 damage to your cities if they hit it. So you basically have to say, these 2 jobbers, I'm going to let them hit my cities so this big boy doesn't do it. I highly, 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 highly recommend it. I can't remember the last time I bought a game for full price. I bought this game for $15. In the first week, I put 10 hours into it after work. We are already almost at my $1 per hour threshold. It is tremendous. So do you guys have any questions? It's up here on the screen. Do you have any questions about it that I can answer?
I think it looks really nice.
Yeah, it's
I think the color's very nice. The scheme, just like there's definitely attention to detail. Like the 8-bit is just it's an art form in itself, and I think it looks like they did a very good job with it.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. To me, it seems kind of like the arcade version of Civ. Like it's quicker.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to strategize. You still have to plan out where you're putting your guys. But
if you're a fan of like tactics games,
yeah, like strategy.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a $15 game. I mean, it looks good. I mean, like I would probably pay like $8 for it, but like the way you're describing it to me, it sounds like
Yeah.
a 15.
More
Yeah,
involved
it looks like it, but it doesn't look like it's worth that. But from definitely what you sound is very detail oriented. It's definitely worth the $15.
Yeah, it's incredibly creative. Like each of the different maps will have like one map. Everybody gets frozen in a certain zone. So there are catastrophic events that can happen. Like tidal waves will take away one whole row of squares each level. So if your mechs or any of the monsters are there, they're killed.
Shit.
Some of them have the ground fall away randomly. Some of them build ground randomly. Some of them have everything get frozen in a zone, which is good if you want to protect your cities because it adds as a one-hit shield, but bad if you want to use your mech and then it gets frozen. When I first brought it up, I said $15. Fuck, man, I'm not sure I want to do that. And then I played it for 2 hours. I said, yeah, this was totally worth it. Little steep. From my initial assessment, I totally agree. It looks like an $8 game, maybe, but it definitely plays like
a lot of mechanics, a lot of ways to get into it.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that in a game.
Yeah.
For $6, apropos of our earlier discussion, you can buy the digital soundtrack.
I wish I could give a more in-depth review, but I'm thinking so goddamn hard every time I play this. I don't hear the music at all. I just don't hear it. I just hear the when I attack a bug monster or whatever. Yeah, he's dead. Yeah. I still have. There's tons of achievements to unlock. There's little achievements for beating the final island after the second, third, or fourth island, because the final island doesn't get unlocked until then. And they're basically like, listen, you can attack now and you have just as much a chance as beating the other islands because we adjust it to your difficulty. What a pleasant surprise. And another great reason the company should continue to allow people to do video game playthroughs. I only bought this game because I watched two best friends play it. I might have liked it because it's from the makers of FTL. It's turn-based strategy, but it looked to me like an $8 game. I would have waited 2 years until it went on sale for $3 and then begrudgingly picked it up. I saw some people I like to watch play it, and I said, fuck yeah, I need to get that bad boy. Especially because they were doing such a shitty job playing it. Okay. G, you said you were playing a game. Did you want to touch on that at all or save it for next week?
You know what? I think I'm going to save it for next week.
Perfect. So let's move into our recurring final section, Steam sales and what you should buy. Well, it's actually called Steam Sale Game of the Week.
You change the name every single time you say it.
Cool.
We're going to look at games on sale and tell you about them and what we think is
these
best.
are expensive games for sale.
These are not, so far.
Nothing
Project
good.
Cars 2, 50% off at $30.
What the heck is Gremlins?
Dungeons
Incorporated.
3,
Looks terrible.
$20. Gremlins Incorporated.
Play for free, but pay $7.49.
And then
But for what?
Nier Automata. Didn't you mention
Probably
that the
like
other
a
day?
week.
Great game. It
$30
is worth $30. $30 is outside of my game budget right now for any single game, but it is definitely worth $30. Ooh, XCOM 2, 67% off.
Just shy of $20.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. Wait, why is it on there twice? That's weird.
How was,
Steam
it
had
is.
a stroke. I don't know. But Astroneer, $16.
I
Never
read
heard of it.
about that. I think it's pretty good.
Warhammer 2 for $33.99. There's probably it's 10% off.
$53.99.
Oh, I'm sorry.
10% off.
10%.
You're not tantalizing me. Astroneer's
Yeah.
only 20% off. No thanks. Hearts of Iron 4. That is a unique, engaging game from the excellent developer Paradox. They also make Europa Universalis, I believe, and Crusader Kings. 60% off for this game is a very, very good deal.
Yeah, it looks sharp.
Yeah, I'm liking the look of it.
I think you're basically managing different countries and their relations and their military activities around the World War II technology era, and it gets into like managing different groups and resources and how you're invading actually affects, like if you do a pincer movement, if you land on this beach, you got to watch your supply lines. This is just what I've read. It's got very positive reviews, all reviews and recent reviews. 60% off from $39.99. I mean, this is pretty good. I wish I knew more about Dungeons because I think it might be
That Dungeons 3.
Yeah, well, the series I wish I knew more about.
Yeah.
Because I think it has a pretty active fan base. I mean, it's very positive here. I just don't know anything about it. And frankly, for $20, I don't know if I'm willing to try.
Something
I
you're
wonder
not
if
sure
the first
about.
one's on sale too.
Usually in the bundle, there it is.
There's a bundle.
Oh.
$82 and change.
Yeah, that's a little.
It's quite a
That's a
few
lot of
games.
How much is the original Dungeons? Steam Special Edition.
$9.99.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, I would like to see it for 6 or 7. I have heard a lot of good things. This one comes up on Reddit, I think a good bit in gaming. So I'm always interested in that. People seem to really like it.
Nier Automata, Bridger has talked about this. The world has been conquered by robots. People
Congrats,
live on
Frank.
like the moon. They send back a sexy cyborg or whatever to fight them.
In heels.
It transitions between different styles of gameplay, like side scroller to platformer to over the shoulder.
There's a big dumb buster sword.
Sword combat to gun usage. The voice acting is just over the top enough to be really enjoyable. Very, very good game. If you haven't heard about this game, and you're in the market to buy games, I'm surprised because it's been so popular. $30 is a good deal for this game.
And this promotion lasts until March 14th, so you actually have time to listen to this episode before it goes off of sale.
Yeah. Now, I like I said, $30 is a little steep for me to spend on any game right now. When there's so many excellent cheaper ones out there, but if you're into spending that kind of money on really good games, then this is definitely a high level pick. What else we got?
Oh, XCOM.
XCOM 2 is another grid turn-based strategy game.
Use of tobacco gets factored into the rating for
Yes,
this.
it does.
Wow.
Why not?
Wait, what?
For the like maturity level rating.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. You're right.
XCOM 2 is 67% off for just under $20. This game is known for being very difficult. You get near an enemy, and your enemies are really strong. They're an invading alien force, and you say, it says, oh, you have a 90% chance of shooting this thing right in the face, and then you miss. And it happens all the time. And then if you get super murked, your companions who see you get super murked get spooked and run away and are no longer valuable in the fight. This is a great game. I recommend for $20. I don't know if it's going to be my pick of the week, but it is sweet.
Look, that's about the half of it. Not as strong as a showing for us, I think, as prior weeks. But what do y'all think? Oh, we didn't look at the Astroneer. What's that about? $15.99.
Got very positive reviews.
Let's see.
This is an early access game.
Well, it looks like a cell-shaded, you look like a literal, 1960s astronaut on an alien planet.
But very cartoony.
What's early access? The game came out on December 16th, 2016.
They're still working on it.
Yeah. It means they don't want you to really hold them to any standard yet.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Nice and stylized. If it's like world building on different planets that are nicely generated, that sounds like fun. What's the little summary that they have on here? I can't seem to see it. Yeah. A game of aerospace industry and interplanetary exploration.
So it's probably a little like Kerbal Space Program.
Yeah, it looks to be in that style.
Some mining, some crafting, some base building.
Yeah, I mean, for what is it, 20% off?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying a brand new game that I know almost nothing about that gives me one sentence.
That's not even done.
It gives me a one sentence explanation. I'm not doing it for 20% off. No thanks. Warhammer Total War.
Warhammer 2, get it right.
Wow,
Follow the semicolon, Bill. Or the colon.
Is this like Rome
You
Total
can follow
War?
my colon.
I often
boy.
do.
You do. You smell it often too.
Can you go to some of the other pictures? I want to see if this is like
Farts.
the Total War series in general. Yeah, okay. So I've played Rome Total War, which seems to basically you manage cities as unit generators, and then you command large swaths of them to engage in battle. If this is anything like that,
Isn't Warhammer like the world where it's like the future, but there are orcs?
yeah, I think so.
It's like Space Marines versus orcs.
Yeah, I'm sure that this is a sweet game. I mean, I think Warhammer always puts out quality stuff. Just 10% off, $53.99. That is not going to be my pick of the week. Worth putting on your wish list, though, so that
But
you
people
can know
are
when
obsessed with like everything Warhammer. I know, like, of course, I was a math major. For those who do not know, and a couple of my math professors actually were like super into like the miniatures, like the collectible things, and one of them was like a renowned collector of like Warhammer miniatures. He spent like tens of thousands of dollars on them, and I was just like, I mean, this dude was just like he picked on this one girl in my class one time, and I kind of got in trouble because like he was picking on her, and then I was like, dude, you need to learn how to iron your shirt.
Wait, what?
Oh, what?
Burn.
He was like making fun of her because
Was he a professor?
yes.
Wow, this is a preposterous situation, but go ahead.
No, I mean it was like,
What's a professor do? Okay, whatever. I don't even want to get it. You just tell
I'm
me. Just tell us what
curious.
happened. Yeah.
I mean it was real analysis, which is a particularly hard class, and it was mostly math education majors in there, and like, I mean, you know, you should learn it because it's good stuff to know, and you're getting a degree in mathematics, albeit mathematics education. But realistically, if you're going to be a high school math teacher, you're never going to need to know this shit. Learn it, do what you can, do well, be a good student, pass the test, or try at least, and, you know, get through it. And he was basically chastising the majority of the class, and particularly one girl, for not being that smart. You know, to his standards, you know, like thinking that if we're going to get if we're going to be mathematicians and teach mathematics, like we need to step up our game basically. And like, I don't know why he singled this poor girl out, but I was like, if you're going to be like a real person and a college professor, you should learn how to iron your shirt.
Whoa.
because he was getting like kind of nasty.
What did he say to that?
He was like, that is an incredibly inappropriate thing to say. And I basically I was like, well, it's incredibly inappropriate that you're being this mean, particularly to this one girl. Like, what is your problem? You know, I was like, this is exactly. I was like, this is a ridiculous situation. We should not be sitting here being like talked down to like little children and demeaned by our professor, you know. I didn't really I basically got a stern talking to by my advisor, who is also the head of the mathematics department. But she was like, yeah, that guy, like Dr. Johnson, she's like, he is not the best people person out there.
You're kind of my hero in that moment.
Yeah.
Because
did everyone applaud?
No, they were just like,
and
had that
everyone
look of, like,
clapped. I was so cool.
yeah, and they gave me a $100 dollar bill. the name of that girl being chastised, Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
But I want to know, how did you, like, did you wait for him to pause and then you just went in on him, or did you like raise your hand, or?
No, I mean, like, it was kind of like, I don't remember. He made she made a comment about like, basically, and it was true what she said, that like most of the material that was on the test was not really stuff that we went over in any particular detail.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the main reason why we all did so poorly on the test, because the class average was like a 38. And he was basically like, well, you know, this is a high level, 400 level math class where, we expect you to go more into the material than, what we go over in class, which, like, at some point, fair enough, yes, but like, you shouldn't have the entire test based around stuff that we didn't cover in class. And she made another comment about like, I just don't see how it's fair to give us a test like this. And then he made a comment about basically like, I mean, the way I interpreted it at 22 years old, in the setting that we were in, was basically like, you're a pretty girl, you don't understand math.
Oh shit!
That was basically, because she was extremely attractive, and like that was the way I interpreted what he said, was that he was basically like, you're dumb and you're pretty, so get smarter, and I'm the smart math professor. And it like really just made me really angry.
Was it a big class?
No, there's like 10 people in it.
Yeah.
Let me say this, like, looking back on it, I'm really proud of myself for stepping up, not just for her, but for our entire class, and just basically making the guy look like an idiot. Because, I mean, really, like, dude, it's not hard to bring it into the shower with you and just let it steam dry. Like, don't look like a fucking chode who picked up his shirt from the floor,
Yeah.
Like, I will say one of the things that I'm proud of for myself in college was, college students are very, very, very well known for dressing like bums. You're talking about men and women. Let's not forget, you are technically considered men and women at 18 years old, showing up and basically living in sweatpants and sweatshirts, like 90% of the time, unless you're
Don't
going
you
out to a
insult my
party.
religion, Frank?
Yeah.
Don't you do it.
And look, like, I enjoy
Religion of
wearing
basic.
Yeah, I enjoy, but like, seriously, it's 2:00 in the afternoon and you look like you just rolled out of bed 10 minutes ago. You very well might have, and your hair's a mess. You're wearing sweatpants, you're wearing a crappy t-shirt, and you look like you don't care about how you look. I always got up in time, and keep in mind, the majority of my college, I had class early, because for whatever reason, math classes were always early in the morning.
Because you're all nerds.
And I showered and I wore like jeans or like khaki shorts or something to class, and like a t-shirt or a collared shirt or something. Like I put myself together before I went out the door. So he did not. And he was a professor. Like, that was his job, as a professional, a few years into my career, I would never walk out the door looking like that guy did. Like, he looked like a joke, like the typical math professor that just lived with his mom at 58 years old and couldn't take care of himself and just lived in his own little world collecting Warcraft miniatures.
My favorite part about that is that, like, you totally roasted this guy in a single statement, and I have been on the other end where I'm like, I should have said something. Fuck me, like so many times in my life. So that was refreshing to hear. But you weren't like, listen here, asshole, XYZ. You just said, you should know how to iron your shirt.
Yeah.
Which is
like totally not
That's
related to
everything.
the conversation,
No,
but
that's
still
awesome.
accurate.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so yesterday, I was playing rugby and we were getting really chippy. Like people were getting mad at each other. There was almost a fight. So I get the ball and I run into 3 guys and they tackle. And part of the game is when you're tackled, you have to put the ball back and the defense has to allow you a chance to do that. And they weren't. So they were cheating. And I go, you got to release, nerds. And like in the tackle like pile up, they all start laughing because of the use of nerds.
Yeah.
Nerds is a great word to use if you don't actually want to be mean, but you want to make it clear you're calling somebody a name. Yeah, I applaud. As my dad says, I'll give you the golf clap. That was well executed.
I will say, like, in those situations where you look back and say, I wish I would have said this, let me say that once it is said, the entire atmosphere for everyone is extremely awkward and tense. Like, it's just kind of like what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
It's really weird. I can't believe someone just said that. Oh, no, what's going to happen?
So our Steam pick of the week,
Anyway,
Professor Backtalk Simulator 5000 for free.
Yeah, it's $45,000 if you live on campus.
Okay, so
Free to play.
Let's go from Frank to Jake.
I'm actually going to go first because I am going to abstain. I don't know nearly enough about any of these games to make an informed call.
Okay.
XCOM 2.
I'm thinking Nier Automata, because I've seen some of the gameplay and that looks interesting, at least if I had to buy one of these today. But I probably, what is it, 25?
29.
29.
$30.
$30. Yeah, I probably still wouldn't get it because it's too much for me right now.
I don't use Steam.
Well, if you were, pretend.
They're probably XCOM 2 because I like that game.
It really depends on what I feel like playing. I've got a good little Into the Breach has brought me into the
Breach.
8x8 square layout combat. XCOM, it's got my juices flowing, so I'd go with XCOM 2 today. If I was playing Civ at the time, it would be Hearts of Iron, and if I wasn't playing either of those games and just wanted to pick up a good game, it would be Nier. But today I will say XCOM 2 for 1979.
Very nice.
All right, so a little bit of a preview of what we have coming up in the next weeks. Next week we have a misfire that we're going to do. Should be interesting on a more recent relevant topic. And then we'll put out our regular episode. It will be Genevieve's birthday, which means it is Genevieve's show to run. So I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
I'm sorry, and you're welcome in advance.
And, it'll be a jovial time. The following week, we are aiming to have two special guests come on. So the vibe will change a little bit. We'll get some different points of view. So the next 2 weeks are looking pretty darn good. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. We're still having a ton of fun. We hope you are too. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, whatever the fuck it is Jake says in all our videos. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud,
Patreon.
You really, really love us.
The Library of Congress. And
we were that
always,
important to our histories or country's history because we were so bad.
Yeah.
Rumor has it that one of our episodes is in the Vatican vaults.
Legend has it.
Yeah. Elon likes us so much, he's going to launch us into the sun. As always, cock 'em, lock 'em, and rock 'em, baby.